Diana Galarzo says her fiance's estranged wife, Myrna Cosio, owes for burning a graduation dress she bought for her daughter. Diana also says Myrna started an argument at the ceremony.
Ms. Cosio, you are currently separated from your husband, is that right? And you've been separated for about 3 years. Yes. Is he here today?
Yes, he is.
Yes, I am.
And according to your answer in this case, you separated from him because he was a king problem.
Yes.
That's why you separated.
Yes.
You filed for divorce.
He did.
He did in December.
Yes.
And hopefully that divorce will be finalized soon. The two of you have 2 children.
Correct.
The plaintiff is his fiancé.
Correct.
And you've been together for about a year.
Yes.
And you're planning to be married as soon as the divorce is finalized.
That's correct.
Do you live together?
Yes, we do.
How long have you been living together?
For about 8 months.
According to your complaint, you gave one of the girls, one of their daughters, who was graduating from elementary school,
Yes, that's correct.
3 outfits. And according to you, Ms. Casio destroyed those outfits. She was annoyed at something. And then later at the graduation made a terrible scene at the graduation,
Yes.
which embarrassed and humiliated you. Ms. Casio says that the outfits weren't destroyed, and she says that you had no business being at the graduation. You should have stayed home. She told her separated husband that he shouldn't bring you, and he defied her and brought you, and that's what caused the incident at the graduation. Is that right?
That's right.
Well, let me straighten you out on that score because that's freshest in my mind. You have no business telling him who he can bring to his daughter's graduation. This child has 2 parents, and you're no more of a parent than her father is. You don't have any right to tell him who he can bring to the graduation and who he cannot. You understand that?
Yes, I do.
So what do you think gave you the right to tell your husband not to bring her to the graduation?
I didn't tell my husband, I told my daughter.
Ugh, that's even worse. That you told your daughter to tell her father that he should leave her home? Is that what you did?
Exactly, that's what I did, Judge.
You're outrageous. That's an outrageous thing to do on many fronts. First of all, you never use a child to transmit messages from one parent to another. Certainly nothing negative. If you want to say, listen, would you like to come to my house for a graduation party? That's a nice thing. But you never use a child as a telephone to transmit a negative message from one parent to another. That makes you a bad mother. You don't want to be a bad mother, do you?
No.
Well, I'm telling you that was something that only a bad mother would do. So I would rethink that. Having said that, you have no business directing what goes on at your daughter's graduation. It's not your graduation. It's your daughter's graduation. And unless your daughter doesn't want her for some reason, she should be there. She's part of her life. You may not like it. That comes under the category of too bad. You got to get used to it. You got it?
Yes.
You have any questions for me?
Nope.
Good. Now, what kind of a scene did you make at graduation?
I didn't make no scene.
What did she do at graduation?
Your Honor, I have a video cassette of her behavior.
I'd like to see it.
It's right here. And I have never met her, and why she acted this way and insulted me in front of everyone and made a scene, especially Erica started crying. The other daughter with her 3 infant, you know.
Excuse me? What did you call me? What did you call me?
Mom.
That's what I told you.
Why?
Stupid. Because you are.
It's Erica's
graduation.
Why? You need God.
Because you are what?
You need God in your life.
Really?
Yes.
Mom, stop.
Yes. You do. I have never done anything to you.
Why did you call her? Okay, I got it.
Okay.
Why did you call her a name?
Because I was upset that she was there at my daughter's graduation, Judge.
You owe her an apology. Your behavior was outrageous. And I'm going to tell you something. If you don't decide that you're going to change your way of doing business, you're going to lose custody of your daughters. I'm telling you that. I'm an old family court judge. And I'm telling you that if you're going to put your daughters in between their parents, and if you're going to behave in an irrational way, you will eventually lose custody of your girls because they will say, I don't want to live with my mother. She's a nut. Now, what did you do with the outfits that she brought for your daughter? And I better get a truthful answer, otherwise I'm going to have to embarrass you and bring your daughter here. So I want you to tell me what you did with the 3 outfits.
I didn't do anything.
Where are they?
I don't know what she's talking about.
Your Honor, I have a recording of the daughter on June 24th, where she called my cell phone, and pictures of my outfits burned.
I'd like to see them, please. Where were these pictures taken?
Apparently, she burned them, and either she walked into my property or threw them right next to my truck, keyed my car, and I have a police report.
Oh, well, she's crazy. Sir, I think that you ought to go into court and seek custody of your daughters. I wouldn't let my daughter stay with her. There's something mentally wrong with her. Mr. Casio, step up. Step up, sir.
Yes, Your
Listen
Honor.
to me very carefully. How old are your daughters?
12 and 16.
Well, the 16-year-old daughter is going to tell you where she wants to live.
Okay.
And unfortunately for her, she probably will say, I have to stay with my mother because I feel sorry for her. But certainly, if her behavior continues to be so irrational, you might find it in your 12-year-old's best interest to pursue custody of that child, because somebody who behaves in this fashion is not capable of taking care of a child.
I agree.
That's my judgment. Now, 12-year-old probably is not in physical harm in her custody, but she certainly is emotionally in danger, being with somebody who has so much anger. Who are you?
I'm her friend.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, totally.
Is there anything that I said that you find wrong?
Not anything you said, but things she said.
Anything I said?
Not a thing that you've said.
That's all. I said anybody who behaves this way for no reason, who can do this, who uses their child as a messenger for hateful messages, is a bad mother. Because a good mother doesn't do that. Go ahead.
Your Honor, I was spending the night before the graduation at Myrna's house to go to the graduation, and I...
Just a minute. You're her friend and you were going to graduation?
Yes.
What gives you the right to go to graduation as a friend?
Because her daughters like me.
What gives you the right as a friend to go to their graduation? Because their mother invited you?
Yes.
That's why she was there. Now, let me ask you this question. Would you believe that he was acting like a nut if he came up to you and called you vile and vicious names and told you to get out because he didn't want you at the graduation? Would you think he was acting like a lunatic?
Not necessarily.
Well, what would you think of his behavior?
Listen, if I had been told prior to coming that I wasn't wanted there by my daughter calling...
Just a second.
Erica,
her daughter did not say, I don't want you to come to graduation. No, listen to me very carefully, madam. She said, I told my daughter I didn't want her at the graduation. That's what she said.
Well, let's bring Erica.
I'm not going to do that, because that's what a bad mother would do.
She's not asking to bring Erica. I am.
I'm telling you, she didn't turn around and say to you, oh, I wouldn't do that to my daughter. She's a bad mother. She's so full of anger and hate in her heart that it obscures her judgment as far as being a good mother. And she better change, otherwise her daughters will grow up to hate her. They will hate her.
And as far as her going over there and doing whatever she claims she did, it didn't happen because I was with her.
I'd like to hear what the child said on the answering machine. Could you bring it up here, Bert, so I can listen to it?
Go ahead and press the middle button. That's a message she left on my cell phone at 6:20.
My mom is burning your clothes. You think your daughter was lying when she says, my mom is burning your clothes?
We had an argument that morning, Your Honor.
So you just think it's serendipity that your daughter calls and says, my mom is burning your clothes, and the clothes turned up burned in front of her house. You think that those two things just came aligned in this universe? You better go see a good therapist, madam. You need a good therapist. Do you work?
Yes, I do work.
What kind of job do you have?
I'm a phlebotomist.
Better spend a little more time at work and a little less time hating. Spend a little less time hating. It didn't work out. 52% of the marriages in this country don't work out. She didn't steal him away from you. You threw him out. That's what you told me. You said you didn't like the way he behaved, so you threw him out. She found him. You should be grateful.
She can keep him.
Listen to me. That's right. You should be grateful instead of having a heart full of anger. Believe me, if you have a heart full of anger, you're never going to find anybody, madam. Okay. Nobody wants somebody who's miserable and angry. You'll spend the rest of your life alone. How much did you spend for the outfits?
I have the receipts
Just
here.
tell me how much you spent for the outfits.
180.
Now I'll take the receipts, Bird.
Plus pain and suffering and...
You don't get pain and suffering.
Loss of work and...
Listen to me very carefully, Ms. Galazzo.
Yes.
What you wanted was for her to learn a lesson. I don't know whether her ears were open. If they were, fine. If not, she's going to be the loser, as are her two children. She's responsible for the burnt clothes because she burned them. Her bad behavior has just been memorialized in front of 10 million people. Unless she changes her course of conduct, she's already been pre-warned that her children are going to grow up hating her. You can either put a period and move on and say, I had a marriage, it didn't work out. But out of this marriage came two lovely children, just listen to me carefully, and then try to put yourself on some medication maybe, if you don't already take it. I have two beautiful children. I want to devote myself to them and to making myself a happy life. And I don't want to be angry with somebody who's taking a burden off my shoulders. And you don't control what happens with your girls, because your girls have two parents. And you won't have them at all in your life if what you continue to do is to disrespect their father. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $180. That's all.
Jennifer Richardson says her estranged mother-in-law, Sandra Richardson, refuses to hand over title on a car she bought from her. Sandra is countersuing, claiming Jennifer stole appliances from her home.
Miss Richardson, this is your soon-to-be ex-mother-in-law, and I assume that sitting in a witness chair is your soon-to-be ex-husband.
Yes.
Okay. According to you, you purchased a home for your son and his wife, and the idea was that you and your husband were going to live with them. Unfortunately, your husband became ill and passed away.
The house was originally bought for us.
Yes, the house was originally
with
bought...
our money.
No, well, sorry, Your Honor.
No, it was your money.
Well, can I just say something? If she wants to lie about
just a second.
10,000.
Just a second. Who paid the mortgage on the house?
I did. It was in my name.
I didn't ask you if it was in your name. I said who paid the mortgage.
For the first 8 months, my husband and I did. When they moved in, they shared the responsibility.
That's what I gathered. The first several months, you and your husband were making the mortgage payments on the house, and then you and your husband moved in, and then you split the mortgage payments, right? Yeah. But the house was purchased for them, and they were there alone for a period of time. Anyway, the house is really not the issue unless we get to the counter. Don't interrupt me. House isn't really the issue until we get to the counterclaim. We're going to talk about the house in a moment. This has to do with the car that you purchased in your name, but that your daughter-in-law used, but your daughter-in-law used it to take you around from place to place, all your appointments. She sort of chauffeured you around. Anyway, there came a time when you left the house, and shortly after you leaving the house, your daughter-in-law and son split up.
Right.
Your daughter-in-law went home to her family. Where do you live now?
That's not what happened.
Where do you live now?
I live with my mother.
In what state?
In Florida.
And where do you live?
Michigan.
Okay. Did you take the car with you?
At what time?
Where is the car now?
My husband has it.
Okay. It is your claim that you wanted the car, and your mother-in-law said you have to pay for it. You were annoyed that she said that you had to pay for it because you always thought it was your car, but you sent her $3,000. She doesn't deny that you sent her the $3,000, but she never sent you the title to the car and never sent you the car. So you want something. You want either the car or you want your $3,000. Mother-in-law says the $3,000 was for other bills that were outstanding. And in addition, she's counterclaiming because she says when you moved out of the house, you took her property, some appliances and things that belonged to her. So I'm going to cut right to the chase. Mrs. Richardson, since you acknowledge that your daughter-in-law sent you $3,000, what did she send you the money for?
I asked for $5,000 for the car. She sent me $3,000. They owed me like $6,000 just back rent, so I don't figure the car is paid for.
Wrong. If you asked $5,000 for the car and she sent you $3,000, you can't offset that. Get the money that they owe you from rent from your son. Get it from him, not from her.
May I speak?
When it's your turn.
Okay.
Because she stole $20,000 worth of appliances and stuff.
Listen to
in my
me.
home.
When you purchased this house, for the first 8 months, where she and your son lived there, were the appliances in the house?
There was old appliances. I purchased all brand new appliances.
And when you went home, after your husband died, when you left, in what month was that?
Around May, about the middle of May.
Of 06? And when did the two of you split up?
August.
And between May of 06 and August of 06, where were the appliances?
They were in the home when I left.
And where did you go? From Florida back to Michigan?
Michigan.
And what did you take with you when you went?
I took a clock, my big TV, left leather furniture, all the appliances, everything in the home when I left because it cost me so much to move all the stuff. So I left it for the kids.
Absolutely
you know.
right. So it was a gift. So let me explain something to you, Miss Richardson. Don't get involved between your son and your daughter-in-law. The courts will determine if she took marital property, because once you made a gift to them, you didn't make a gift to your son. Listen to me.
Okay.
You made a gift to them. You left it when you moved back to Michigan in May. You left it as a gift for the kids. And if they had stayed together as husband and wife, they would have had all the appliances. The problem is they split up. And then you said, well, I don't want her. She's a stranger to me now. She can't take this property. I bought it. It was a gift. Once you give a gift, you can't have sticky fingers. You can't say, well, it's a gift, but I'm going to hold on to it.
But I bought it as myself because I lived there.
I don't care. When you left it there. And you didn't abandon it along with the leather sofa. You took what you wanted. You took a grandfather clock. You took other things that were important to you. And you left the other things there for your children. Then, so it therefore became marital property.
She had no reason to steal it, though.
She didn't steal it. It was a gift.
It wasn't really a gift.
Well,
it
Miss
was 'cause I
Richardson,
lived
I'm
there.
trying to explain to you, madam, you're not getting what the law is.
Okay.
That's the law. And if your son, during the course of the divorce proceeding, says, well, she took this marital property and she had no right to take the marital property, a judge will decide that. But it's not yours. You can't sue for it. You gave it away. You gave it away to them. And as between the two of them, a court will determine whose property it was, whether she cleaned out the house or whether she didn't. But it's not yours anymore. You gave it away. Let's get to the car. When did you tell your daughter-in-law that you wanted $5,000 for the car?
Before I left the home.
So that was in May of 06. Is that what she told you in May of 06? She wanted $5,000?
My husband and I discussed it, and I told him I don't feel I owe her anything for this car. I have been a personal slave to her, driven her anywhere she's asked me to go.
Well, listen
She's
to me.
broken in
Let's
and
shh,
I'm
don't
sorry.
speak. Just because you think that doesn't make it the law. Car is titled in her name. You took her where she had to go. You also used it for yourself when you had to go to, I don't know, bowling, Pilates, hairdresser appointment, whatever.
Right.
You took the car yourself. So in exchange for that, you had a car. And what you did was you drove your mother-in-law around. When you weren't driving her around, you were using it yourself. So whether you thought that you were entitled to it or not, that's totally irrelevant. She said she wanted $5,000 for the car. You go back to Florida. When did you have a discussion with her and send her $3,000?
My husband and I discussed it, and I said all I can get is $3,000.
Where did you get the $3,000 from? Look at me. Don't look down there.
My mother obtained a loan.
When?
It would be late May, and I made the deposit in June 20th.
Before you and your husband separated?
Yeah.
And you gave her a check in late May for the $3,000?
Well, she was gone, so we deposited the check into her bank account, and we gave her the mortgage money as well. You'll see it's $4,000.
No. That has nothing to do with it. She already told me. She wanted $5,000. You sent her $3,000. She considered it for other bills. She can't do that. Where's the title to the car?
The original title was destroyed.
And here's what I
Original
paid for
title
the
can be
car.
destroyed?
Here, ma'am.
Lost in the mail.
What?
Lost. She took my mail for 6 months. I spent $80,000 on that house.
Who's living in it?
It's empty. I can't even sell
Just
it.
a second. Who's living in it?
Nobody's living in it.
Why isn't he living in it?
He lives here in Michigan with me now.
Oh, well.
But I just lost
Because if I'm down there, she makes my life miserable.
Listen to me.
$80,000.
I'm not speaking
so.
to you.
Okay.
I'm not speaking to you.
Sorry.
If your mother's out some money, get a job and make sure she's whole. Miss Richardson, you cannot take her money. That money was for the car. That's what it was for. That was before they separated, so that you went back to Michigan, right, without the car.
Right.
And she got the money from her mother. This is her car. It is not your car. Don't get in between your son and his wife if they're in the process of divorcing.
So this $80,000 that she's actually I spent, I know she got money. She kept my mail. She run my cell phone up to $1,000.
Listen to
Her.
me. Listen to me. Listen to me. You could sue her for certain things, but you can't keep this money. And if you spent $80,000, you spent $80,000 on your son, not on your daughter-in-law. You spent $80,000 on your son because, but for your son, listen, if she came to you and you didn't know her from a hole in the wall and she wasn't married to your son, you wouldn't have spent a quarter on her. You spent the money because you wanted your son to be comfortable. And if he was married to this lady, well, she's the beneficiary of that.
So
the house isn't in her name. The house is in your name.
I'm losing that, too. So.
Well, sell it. Meanwhile, you have to sign the title to the car over to her because the car belongs to her. You accepted the money for it?
But it's not paid for.
What do you mean it's not paid for?
$3,000 isn't $5,000.
Listen to me. You said you wanted $5,000 to them before you left. There was conversations that took place between the three of you. There's no question in my mind about that. There is also no question in my mind that you accepted the $3,000 in payment for the car because you took it and you spent it. It wasn't until 3 months later when they separated that you said, well, that money was for other things. No, no, no.
So she
doesn't go that way. This is her car. And don't put yourself in the middle of these two people. You spent money. It's unfortunate. The marriage didn't work out. The marriage didn't work out, and it's over. And there were certain things that she took appliances from the house. I'm sure that there were certain things that your son took. What did you take from the house, sir? Stand up next to your mother and just answer my questions. Now that you moved back to Michigan, what did you take with you or sell?
Nothing. Because she emptied the house.
Don't listen to me. She didn't empty the house.
Yeah.
She took the appliances, according to your mother.
Emptied it. My clothes, every personal belonging I had, premarital. She emptied the house. I came back to an empty house. My mom blew $80,000.
Just a second. Just a second. Did you take everything from the house?
Yes.
Everything.
Just a second. Shh. Don't speak. Did you take everything from the house?
Not every single thing, no.
Yes, she did.
Don't speak. What did you take from the house?
I took whatever I would need to have the kids having the same normal life they had before.
How many children do you have?
2.
How old are they?
One to be 12 and one to be 5.
Like my dad.
Don't speak. Don't speak. Where were you living? In Michigan?
When I moved out,
Where did you go?
I didn't have a home.
So where did you go?
I went to a friend's home.
Boyfriend.
And it's going to be over. Do you understand? It's going to be over. What state do you live in now?
Florida.
Which is where you lived as a marital couple?
Yes.
Why did you move back to Michigan when you have 2 children in Florida?
Because she was trying to get me put in jail. She stole everything. She come into my motel room and took my pool stick, and I'm a professional pool player.
Listen to me.
After she emptied the house, took my dad's wedding band he wore for 43 years that's worth $20. It's 10-karat gold that belongs to my mother. All 9 of my pool sticks, all my clothes, 3 different cell phones that she came to my hotel room to get in my hotel room to take the stuff, and I filed a
asked you a question, sir. The question is a simple one.
It's just all the truth.
The question is
That's why I moved.
The question is a simple one.
All right.
How do you move clear across country when you have 2 children?
Because here's a lady that's trying to put me in jail and comes to where I am when I try to ignore her to steal things I have. Excuse me.
Let us sign over the car, please. I would run away from him, too.
Really?
Sign it. Car belongs to her. It's your problem how to get it, but the car
Well,
belongs
she
to her.
should owe me $1,000 for cell phones that she stole.
Then sue her for the cell phones.
Well, where am I going to do that at? I mean, she steals and took money, took my checks for 6 months
Fine.
and taken
Bird,
my
give it
money out
back
of the
to-
bank
give
and everything.
the title to the car. That's what she wants. Counterclaim is dismissed. Very unfortunate situation. You got yourself in the middle of something. You have 2 grandchildren. You should never do that, madam. When you have 2 grandchildren, listen to me. You have 2 grandchildren.
I don't
you
see
have,
them either.
Excuse me?
I won't see them either. She's the one.
She wouldn't let her
stole
see
that.
her grandchildren when
Madam,
we lived together.
I'm telling you something. You're not paying attention. You're not paying attention. You have a son who I've only met for a short period of time. He's not wrapped too tight. But you're the grandmother. You're the grandmother. And if you have 2 grandchildren, I don't know if he's your only child or not, or if you have other children. If he's your only child, I sort of get it. So that these are your only 2 grandchildren. I would not have gotten into a situation with her where you end up in court. Just pay attention. Don't look at him with rose-colored glasses. You have to know who your children are. You have to be fair. You have to be dispassionate. She may not be perfect, but you have to know who your children are. You got it?
Yes.
Goodbye.
Deborah Skalkos is suing 9-year-old Russell Bauscher Jr. and his mother, Christy, for damage to her car. Deborah says Russell dinged it with a shopping cart.
Miss Skalkos, is that right?
Yes.
According to your complaint, this young man right here accidentally dented your car with a shopping cart.
Correct.
You believed he and his mother are responsible
Correct.
for the dent. Miss Boucher says neither she nor her son are responsible for the dent on your car. So tell me where you were when this happened and when.
Okay. On the evening of April 20th, I was driving my car in a shopping area, and as I was getting ready to cross a speed bump, this little boy here, he yells, "Watch out," and a shopping cart came crashing into my car. And he says, "I'm sorry, ma'am, it slipped out of my hand." And there were cars behind me, and I wanted to pull into a parking stall to get out and look at my car. And I did, and there was a small dent in my car, and then I tried to find the little boy, and he was gone, and I didn't know what store he went into.
Okay, so you did not see him with the shopping cart in his hand?
I saw him pulling out the shopping carts, and it came crashing into my car.
Madam, I want to know exactly what it is that you saw. Don't make anything up.
Right.
Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
Yes.
I read your complaint, and what you just testified to is different from your complaint. What you just testified to was you saw the little boy.
Yes, I did.
And you saw the cart hit your car.
Correct.
But you never saw his hand on the cart.
Correct.
And he said to you, "I'm sorry, it slipped out of my hand."
Correct.
Is that what you saw?
That's what happened, yes.
Is that what you saw, is my
Yes.
question. So you didn't see him trying to pull the cart out of the long row of carts, and it
Correct.
slipped out of his hand, right?
Right.
All right, because that's what you wrote in your complaint. So that was a mistake. You were mistaken about that.
Yes.
Should not be mistaken about that, because you signed it and you read it. You say, "I noticed a young boy standing on the sidewalk and pulling a shopping cart out of the cart holder." And my question to you is, you didn't see that.
I didn't see him pull the cart out.
All you saw was him standing there,
Yes.
the cart coming towards you,
Correct.
and the cart hitting your car.
Correct.
And then he yelled, "Watch out."
Yes, he did.
And then, according to you, he said, "I'm so sorry, ma'am."
Yes, he did.
He didn't say, "I'm sorry, it slipped out of my hand." That's not what you said in your complaint.
But that is what he said. He said it slipped out of my hand.
Okay. Tell me your name.
Russell Voucher,
Russell. How old are you?
9.
Have you ever watched this program?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
How many times have you watched it?
A couple of times.
And I think that your mom is very proud and very supportive of you, right?
Yes.
And I think you're a nice boy.
Thank
So you're going to tell me the truth today about what happened that day, even if it was a little different from what you told your mother. Got it?
Yes.
Because otherwise, bad things are going to happen here.
Okay.
Got it? Okay. Now, your mom went in shopping,
Yes.
and at some point she told you that she needed another cart.
Yes.
So what did you do?
I went out to get another cart, and when I went out the exit, there was one right next to the exit on the left-hand side. So then I was grabbing the cart, and then I saw it going. I ran after it, and I yelled,
Now you
"Watch
grabbed
out."
the cart. Stop right there.
Okay.
You grabbed the cart.
Mm-hmm.
How did you grab it? Show me with
this.
So you grabbed it and you touched the handlebars?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And then you tried to wheel it around?
Yes.
And then what happened?
And then when I saw the shopping cart going,
So it slipped out of your hand?
because like there was two carts. I was grabbing one out of the cart stack, and then there was one on the side of the exit. I was grabbing the one out of the cart stack. I didn't grab it completely. It was halfway out, but it wasn't that one that went. It was the one next to the exit that went.
Okay,
And I
but you
ran
touched
after
it. Your cart touched it. The one that you were pulling touched it.
Yes.
And then you went inside. When you went inside, did you tell your mother?
Yes.
What did you tell your mother?
That I saw a cart that was rolling down. I started running after it, and I couldn't catch it. I said, "Watch out," and then that's all I told her.
But you didn't tell her about the fact that you were touching the cart with the other cart, and that's when it started to roll down.
No.
All right, she's going to love you anyway. Right, Mrs. Boucher?
Yes.
Not hard. You sent him outside to do a job that perhaps he wasn't equipped to do. I certainly have some trouble trying to get those carts out of those cart holders, too, when we go shopping. You pull one, and all of a sudden you get 30. You don't want 30, all you want is one. But I'm very glad you told the truth today. Okay?
Yes.
Good. Got it, Mrs. Boucher? It's a little different.
Right.
Not a major deal. Good for you.
Thank you.
Told the truth today? If you had told your mother the truth right then and there, we might have avoided this whole problem. So you have to remember that for the future, okay?
Yes.
How much is the cost to fix your car?
$601.
Wow, let me see. What kind of a car do you have?
I have a 2004 Toyota Highlander.
Let me see. You have pictures of the car?
Yes.
There's a ding in it.
Yes. That's it.
There are two dings.
The shopping cart, it dinged it.
Well, I'm going to give you some advice, okay? I also have a very nice car, and somebody last week dinged my brand new car, and we called the ding doctor. And for $150, the ding doctor comes to your house and pulls out the ding. Not 600, 150. And I am sure, where do you live?
In Rancho Cucamonga.
Ah, that's in California.
Yes.
Where every person has 9 cars. I guarantee you, you will find a ding doctor for $300 that will come and pull out these 2 dings in your car. Okay? Not 600. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $300. That's all. Thank you.
Holly Corbella says former high school classmate Summerlin Gray vandalized her car. Summerlin says Holly tried to run her over after a confrontation with her boyfriend.
Ms. Corbella, according to what I've put together from your complaint, you knew the defendant from high school. You weren't friends, but you knew her from high school. And it is your claim that she vandalized your car. She vandalized your car by kicking it with you in it. Correct. This was after some sort of an altercation at a place where she works. The defendant says that if she touched your car or came into contact with your car, it was because you were trying to run her over. And if there was any damage to your car, it was as a result of that. So, how long ago did you graduate from high school?
2004.
And you?
2004, ma'am.
And you weren't friends?
No.
Were you enemies?
Not really. We just didn't really talk.
Didn't talk, didn't care for each other, so you weren't friends, you weren't enemies, you just knew each other?
Yes.
When did this incident happen with your car?
November 10th, 2005.
Where?
In Crinkles, which is her parents' store.
Crinkles?
Yeah.
What kind of a store is it?
It's like a type 7-Eleven type store.
Okay, so tell me what happened on November 10th.
Me and my boyfriend, we went to the store, I believe, to get cigarettes.
To the store that her parents owned?
Yeah, which I didn't even know that her parents owned the store. So we went in. I went in with him to buy the cigarettes. I knew the guy at the cash register, so I was talking to him.
Who was that?
I believe his name was Dan. I knew him from, like, high school. Like, I hadn't seen him in years. And then I just told him that I was going to go sit in the car because there was a line to listen to music. So I went in the car.
And?
He was in the store, and she came over.
Stand up, sir.
Yes.
Your last name is?
Lord, L-O-R-D.
Okay, so you were standing on line?
Yes.
She went back to sit in the car?
Yes.
What happened in the store?
I was standing in line, and she had came up to the register talking to the guy that she had said hello to, Dan, I believe. When she started talking, she started saying a lot of things about her. I don't want her in my store, like very bad verbal things, and she didn't know I was with her.
What kind?
Can I say it on TV? Just, I don't want that in my store, or this and that. I don't, you know, she shouldn't be here. If she ever comes in again, I'm going to kick her. Stuff like that. And I basically, she didn't know I was with her, and I was in the back of the line. And then eventually I was like, do you speak to all your customers like that? And then she basically, you know, started yelling at me, and we got into an argument.
Well, what did she say to you?
She was just like, who are you? And I said, well, I'm Holly Corbella's boyfriend. And she's like, yeah. Well, she's like, you can get out of my store, too. I said, oh, this is your store? And she's like, yeah, it's my store. I said, you own this store, and this is how you respect your customers, by yelling like that.
Okay, so you had a verbal altercation with this young lady.
Yes.
And then what happened?
Basically, it kept going on, and then the guy at the register tried calming her down, calming me down, because we were both arguing, and it started to come outside. She came out to me outside, right in the front
Did you
door.
leave?
Yes, I left.
Did you pay for your cigarettes?
Yes.
Paid for your cigarettes and you walked out?
Yes.
Okay. Now, he's paid for his cigarettes. Is that right, Miss Gray?
No, ma'am.
He didn't pay?
No, ma'am. He
Really?
didn't purchase anything that night, ma'am, and if I may, I will
Just
start...
a second. So
Okay.
he didn't purchase anything. Are you saying you didn't walk out with your cigarettes?
I purchased a 6-pack of Heineken and a pack of cigarettes, Marlboro, cash.
Okay, good. Go ahead, Miss Gray. I believe him.
Okay. Well,
I believe that he waited online because he wasn't leaving without those cigarettes and he wasn't leaving without the beer. So I believe...
Well, why would anybody,
just
right?
a second. Just a second. Because he's waited online. He's already argued with you. So he may have been disgusted with your store, but he wasn't leaving without his items. So I believe he bought them and he paid for them.
Okay.
Got it?
Got it.
Now, you want to tell me what problem you had with Miss Corbella?
Well, that night, ma'am, Miss Corbella had walked into the food side of my store, and her boyfriend had walked into the liquor side of my store. Holly seen me. She looked directly in my eyes. I didn't say anything out loud to where any customers heard anything, and I pulled my brother aside, who is the manager, and I said, I don't want her in this store. I don't trust her. I've had altercations with her from stealing and hearing...
I thought you said that you didn't have any bad contact with her.
No, I don't.
So what do you mean?
Because my friend has gotten in trouble from her stealing, whatever.
What do you mean your friends got into trouble with her from stealing?
We were never friends, never liked each other. We had this one friend that was friends with me and friends with her.
Yes.
My friend that was also friends with both of us got in trouble with her stealing.
Just a second. So your friend was arrested for stealing, for theft?
Yes.
And according to you, she was with this friend when she got arrested for stealing?
Yes.
Okay. Was she arrested for stealing?
No.
Just your friend was arrested for stealing?
With her, yes.
No. Listen to me.
Yes, she wasn't arrested. No, yes, my friend was arrested.
Just your friend was arrested for stealing. Now, he's on his way out the door. Why did you follow him out the door? Look at me.
I followed him out the door because the altercation that happened inside my parents' store, he left mad, and she actually was inside the store when the fighting was going on. So she heard everything and she seen everything. I followed him out of this store because my car was in the parking lot, and I didn't want anything happening to my car, anything in the parking lot.
Now.
They threatened me.
No, listen to me. Listen to me. Very carefully. There was a line when Mr. Lord was waiting to pay for his cigarettes and his beer, which means there were other customers in the store.
Right.
How many other customers would you say were in the store?
There were only about 3, ma'am.
And is your store a standalone store, or are there other stores in a shopping mall? Or
It's a standalone, ma'am.
How many people were in the store after Mr. Lord left the store?
The same 3, ma'am.
So that there were at least 3 other cars out there. Is that right? Listen to me carefully. Plus your car, right?
Plus my car, yes.
And you hadn't seen Miss Corbella since high school, right? And you never met Mr. Lord, right?
Right.
So how do they know which is your car and which is a car that
Bella
belongs?
knows well what my car looks like. I've had the same car since high school, and she's seen my car outside her friend's car and me get into it a couple of times and drive away.
Great.
So
Did she listen to me? Did she ever hurt your car before?
We've never had an altercation.
Just listen to me. Did she ever hurt your car before?
No.
What happened when she followed you outside?
We were still arguing. She told me, you know, I'm going to kick her. if she doesn't leave. So I walked up into the car. As I got in the car, no lie, the size of her, I was surprised how strong she came at the car and kicked the car in right where I was. As I closed the door, she came and kicked it. There was no running over her. Then she even went in front of the car as we were leaving. And Holly was all nervous, so she was trying to get around her. The car was already kicked.
You have a picture of the car?
Yes.
I'd like to see
I have
it,
a couple
please.
pictures, actually.
Were you there, sir?
I was outside smoking a cigarette, Your Honor.
I don't remember.
Oh, this is a kick, Miss Gray. This is a kick, my dear.
This is not a kick.
Yeah, this is a kick, Miss Hot Temper.
Okay.
This is a kick. This is not I fell into your car accident. This is a kick. Does this look like I fell into the car accidentally, or does this look like somebody kicked it?
It was a running
fell into
kick.
it several times.
Looks like it fell into it several times. Got a hot temper, madam. You can't do that. You can't
I'm sorry,
vandalize
ma'am.
somebody
if
else's
somebody
car.
comes into my family business, he had nothing to do with what I said to her because he didn't even hear me.
What does that have to do with kicking his car?
He wanted to throw a beer case at me over my family counter is what the first threat was. And then, yes, I did go outside to make sure everything was okay in the parking lot. He did not get directly in the car. He stood in my face threatening me to where the point my brother had to come outside and separate us.
Listen to me. What does that have to do with kicking her car?
I didn't kick her car,
You
ma'am.
did.
I flew backwards. No, I did not.
You don't want to say anything, do you?
I'll say something if you want me to.
Do I want you to? No. Could I have an estimate, please, to fix this car where Miss Hot Temper kicked your car?
And ma'am,
Your
they did
parents
not
leave
keep-
you in charge of that business often?
Actually, I'm not in charge, ma'am.
Well, it's good that at least they have some brains. They don't leave you in charge. But does somebody monitor the two of you in that store?
He doesn't work there, ma'am. He was waiting for me to get off.
They don't trust you to work in the store. They trust her. Judgment for the plaintiff, the amount of $940. That's all. Step out.
Monica Roth says former friend Justin Judy backed her car into another vehicle. Justin claims it was a drunken Monica who was behind the wheel.
Miss Roth, it is your claim that you were at a party, the defendant was at a party. He moved your car, he did so without asking you, and he dented it. The defendant says that it was you who were drunk, moved your own car, and dented it yourself. That's your defense, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Was this party at your house?
Yes, it was, ma'am.
How many people did you have at the party?
20, 25.
How old are you?
I'm 20, going on 22, 21 right now.
Well, hopefully if I let you, you'll be 22. Right now you're 21. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Who do you live with?
I live with my witness here and another person.
So you have two roommates?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm in construction.
What night of the week was this?
I think it was a Friday night or, yeah, Friday night.
Okay. And did you know Miss Roth before your party?
Yes, I did.
All right, Miss Roth, were you present when the defendant got into your car?
No, I was not. I was inside.
Who was?
My witness, Tita, was in the car.
Tell me your name.
Tita Chewin.
Miss Chewin, did you know the defendant prior to this evening?
Yes, Your Honor.
Was there drinking at the party?
Yes.
Any drugs at the party?
No.
None that you saw?
Not that I saw.
But drinking?
Yes.
All right, tell me what happened with the car.
We went outside.
Who's we?
The three of us. We went outside to grab CDs, and it was a summer night, so we had tank tops on and skirts, and we wanted to grab shirts to put over. So we went out to the car. She grabbed her CDs. I grabbed my shirt. I put it on. She went back inside the house, and she left the keys for me. So I was in the passenger seat getting ready to leave, and he claims the truck in front of him needed to be moved. So he hopped in, and I told him, Monica.
Okay. He said that the car that you were in had to be moved?
Yes.
Okay.
The car was on accessories, but the engine wasn't on. He started it and...
Don't speak.
He started it and slammed on the gas without even looking behind him. And before he started the car, I told him, Monica would not want you driving her car. It's brand new. She doesn't even let us drive her car. I've known her since elementary school. We're really close. And he just slammed on the gas without even looking behind him, and I told him, don't you want to look behind you? And next thing I know, there's a big crash, and he jumps out of the car.
Did he say anything to you?
No, he just jumped out.
Did he put the car in park and jump out? Did he turn it
Oh,
off?
he pulled it up really quick so she wouldn't know, and then jumped out of the car.
So first he went backwards.
Yep, and then he pulled it up.
So he changed gears.
Yes.
I just want to go step by step with me. So let's go step by step. First, it was in reverse.
Yep, and he slammed on the gas, hit the car, was like startled, and then he pulled it up back to where she had been parked, so it looked like her car wasn't moved. and hopped out of the car really quick.
And didn't say anything to you?
No.
So what did you do?
I was in shock, and then she came in, ran up to the window because she was across the street.
Tell me your name.
Keely Hartman.
Ms. Hartman, did you witness this?
I just heard a crash. I didn't see it actually happen.
But you heard the sound?
I heard the sound.
Did you see the defendant?
I saw someone running away from the car, and that's when I ran over immediately because I saw it was Monica's car.
But you didn't see who it was?
I didn't.
Didn't see a face, or you didn't see whether it was a man, woman?
I saw a shadow running from the car.
Okay. Did the defendant say anything to you when you went back inside?
I peeked inside the window of the driver's side door, and I saw her in the passenger seat, and I looked and I saw nobody in the driver's seat, and I go, where's Monica? And she just said she's in the house. That's when I looked over and I saw Justin crouching over by the bumper, and he said to me, don't tell her it's not a big deal, it's not even noticeable. And that's when I ran inside and grabbed Monica.
Okay, so he said to you, don't tell her it's not a big deal, it's not even noticeable.
Yes.
How long have you known the defendant?
A couple years.
Have had any problem with him? No. You like him?
Do I like him?
Yeah, I mean, like him as a person. He's okay, isn't he?
Yeah.
What about you?
Before this incident, I thought he was great.
Thought he was great. Never had any problem with
Nope.
him. Thank you. You can be seated.
Thank you.
Yes. It's your turn. Did you get a turn?
All those girls are lying.
Stop!
They were-
Listen to me. Listen to me very, very carefully, sir. I make a judgment as to who's lying.
Okay.
You have the opportunity, if you wish, to explain to me your version of the events that evening.
Okay.
I assume you brought this gentleman because he has something to contribute to this case.
Yes, I did, ma'am.
Your name is?
James.
James, you have a last name.
Johnson.
How old are you?
22.
Do you have parents?
Yes.
Do they like you?
Sometimes.
I want you to think about them when making a decision to testify, James.
Yes.
Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
Yes.
Okay. Let me hear.
Okay, in my defense. July 9th, we were having a... These girls showed up to my house intoxicated, had parked her car behind a truck of my friends, asked her to move it. She moved it, backed into the car that was behind her, which was the black one.
And you saw all this?
Yeah, I was out in the street telling... Everybody was about ready to leave. The whole part of the heart, you know, it was
And you
like...
saw all of this?
Yeah, I saw the whole thing.
Go ahead.
I was in the street talking to a bunch of friends, and, you know, that happened. That transpired. And then she decided to leave belligerently, circle the block, and then come back, screaming, raving, whatever. She was intoxicated and all that stuff.
So you had a party at your house. Did you serve alcohol,
No,
or did the
not to
people
them.
bring out? Shh. Did you serve alcohol, or did the people bring alcohol?
They brought their own.
You just provided the site.
Yes, I just presided the area for people to party. But everybody at my house was 21, minus these 3 girls.
You mean I just happened to be fortunate enough to pick the 3 girls who were underage at your house?
Yes, ma'am. But they were intoxicated before they showed up to my house.
You want to speak?
Sure.
Who do you live with?
Justin, Judy, and another roommate.
So you lived together. And how long have you lived together?
For about a year and a half.
You know these 3 girls?
I know them from being at my house that night. I'd never even known them before.
What time did the party start?
Between 9 and 10 o'clock.
When did you start drinking?
Between 9 and 10 o'clock.
What were you drinking?
Beer.
What time did these girls arrive?
I'm not totally sure on that. I actually did not see them arrive. I didn't see them arrive. I didn't know they were there until well after they were there.
And what time was that?
Between 10 and 11 o'clock.
So the party was only going on for an hour?
Possibly.
What do you mean possibly?
I'm not sure. It was.
How many beers did you have between 9 and 10 o'clock?
Couple.
Couple could be 2 or 5.
Between 2 and 5.
What kind of work do you do?
Construction.
You work for the same place?
No. I install windows in residential housing. He seals driveways.
Seals them. Doesn't steal them. He seals them.
Yes.
So now, I want you to tell me what you saw.
Okay, I was...
No!
Sorry. I was at the party, and I was walking out.
What time?
It was late. I don't know.
Give me an idea.
Probably between 12 and 1.
Okay, so between 12 and 1. So let's say between 9 and 10 you had between 2 and 5 beers.
Yes.
And I would assume that once you had between 2 and 5, you lost track.
Nah, I didn't finish my 12-pack.
How much was left over?
2 or 3.
So maybe you had 10 beers.
Yeah, probably.
So now tell me what happened after midnight.
Well, after I came outside, I had seen Monica get in the car, back up, and bump into the other car. And it wasn't that big of an accident, so I
nobody really made a big deal out of it. And I seen her get out of the car, have a little conversation with him, and then I seen her get back in the car and drive away. It didn't happen all that quick, but that's the sum of it. Yes.
You may be seated.
Thank you.
Don't you feel like a jerk? Let me see the estimate on the car, please. A picture of the car? Yep. What kind of a car did he hit?
Cougar. It was a black car, that's all.
Cougar?
I'm pretty sure it was a Mercury Cougar.
You know who it belonged to?
It was this kid, Jeremy, and he didn't even tell him that he hit his car.
But did you tell him?
He came out, and I think Keely or someone told him. I wasn't.
Who told the Cougar that his car got hit? Anybody?
I didn't. Well,
Nobody told him. Shh.
I don't think I didn't tell him. He heard from the people inside that someone's car had been hit, so he ran outside and saw that it was his car and was furious with Justin.
Is the Cougar man a friend of yours?
Yes, he's a very good friend of mine, actually.
How come he's not here?
He's
How come he's not here?
working.
Is he overseas? Is he fighting in the military?
No. He couldn't
Huh?
make it.
Couldn't make it.
No.
Too bad for you. He's a very good friend of yours. Seemed to me a very good friend. Instead of bringing this one over here, I certainly would have brought the person whose car... I'm speaking. I would have brought the person whose car was hit to testify that they know that it wasn't you who hit their car, it was somebody else who hit their car. Put your hand down.
He's the only one that saw it, though. The guy who owned the car did not see
You see how
anything.
many witnesses they have here, too? You see what you have on your side? Stop shaking your foot. It's making me nervous.
The guy whose car that she hit was not around and did not see it, did not know it happened until later in the night.
Your Honor, I have phone calls from Justin saying he will pay me the money and that he's so sorry that he did it, and he is doing everything he can to get me my money, and he just wants to pay cash and he doesn't want to go to court.
You have them here?
Yes, I have.
Oh, I'd like to
I can
hear
call
that.
my voicemail.
Oh,
Should I go
sure,
up
I'd like
there?
to hear that.
You can- yeah, please. It's her phone. She's gonna. There's two of them.
Ooh, I love to be right.
You've pressed an incorrect key. To disconnect, press 1. To record your message, press 2. Sorry you were having trouble. Please try again.
It's okay.
Can I try one more time?
Yes, of course.
Thank you.
I have all the time in the world.
Sorry.
Oh, just a sec. Before you do that, before we connect, you want to say anything else to me, Justin?
Like what?
Like I may have made that
I did that to help her out because it was not my property.
I'm speaking. Is there anything else that you want to say to me before we try to connect with this phone call?
I've said what I've had to say.
All right.
You've got my defense statement, so I'm sticking with that. That's what it is.
Go.
First saved message sent Friday, August 20 a.m.
Monica, it's Justin. I got your text message. I'm not trying to avoid you. I've been busy working a lot. We're really busy right now. Plus, I have another job. Trying to work as much as possible to get you your money. I do want to
that out of
work
help.
Shut up! I don't want to take this shit to court. I'm not trying to avoid you. So, I don't know. I got to work till midnight tonight. Give me a call whenever.
And
I have one more.
resave. The next message sent Friday, August 5th at 9:11 p.m.
Monica, I'm calling you again because I'm trying to set up some sort of payment plan with you because I've been working a lot. I have 2 jobs. And yeah, so call me back and let me know what's up. I don't want to take the court. I'd rather pay you in cash and get it dealt with. Call me back.
End of
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $967.53. That is for the repair on the car, damage to the vehicle. If I could add another couple of thousand to that for just being 2 wise guys, I would. You're an embarrassment, and you're an embarrassment to yourself and your parents. That's all.
Chastity Bell claims her ex-boyfriend's friend, Anthony Carper, owes for a loan to pay court fines. Folks.
How are you related to her?
I'm not related to her. I'm
The witness's mother.
Which witness?
Right.
Jesse.
I don't know.
You don't know she's your mother?
No, I do, but I mean, I don't know how this all came about.
I do.
We're going to find out.
You are. Thank you. Thank you.
Miss Bell.
Yes.
How old are you?
22.
You work?
Yes.
For whom?
My father.
Doing what?
I'm a receptionist of his company. I've been working there for about 5 years.
Is it a successful company?
Yes.
How many children are there in your family?
I have one brother and one sister.
Is your sister younger or older?
She's older. She's 32.
So you're the baby daughter?
Yes.
Pretty one.
Thank you.
According to what I read, you used to be involved romantically with him.
Mm-hmm.
The one who's going to sit up and uncross his arms.
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
And he was a friend of this one.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So you became a friend of this one.
Well, I was friends with him before Jesse and I actually got into a relationship.
And I gather that your father must have been thrilled with your choice of boyfriends.
Absolutely not.
Now, I could tell that before I even sat down, because these two charmers ended up in jail.
Correct.
For whatever. We'll figure it out. And it is your claim that you loaned Mr. Carper money to pay off his criminal fines.
Correct.
Mr. Carper says that you did pay off his criminal fines, and you did so as a gift because you were a friend of his. He says you were more than a friend of his, that you had a romantic relationship.
We were never boyfriend and girlfriend.
Listen, he didn't say boyfriend and girlfriend, he just says you were intimate with both of them.
No.
And all I can say is yuck. Can you imagine a father who has a company that has enough money to employ a receptionist? And this is the boyfriend and this is the friend that she goes to visit both of them in jail? How many times did you go to visit them in jail?
I never visited them in jail.
Oh, good. At least, thank God for that. No. What were you in jail for, Mr. Carper?
Personal reasons, ma'am.
Personal reasons is not a criminal offense. Shh, quiet.
I made stupid decisions, Your Honor.
Mr. Carper, when I ask a question, I expect an answer.
Yes, ma'am.
What were you in jail for?
Possession.
Possession of?
Schedule II substance. Pills.
Was it the first time you were arrested?
No, ma'am.
And the last time you were arrested was when, sir?
Before I got incarcerated.
When were you incarcerated?
It's March of 2002.
And how long were you in prison?
30 months.
What prison?
Coffeewood and Camp 7.
Are you still on parole status?
Yes, ma'am.
Until when?
It's indefinite.
You're on indefinite parole?
Yes, ma'am.
Fabulous. Now, your friend, what's his name?
Jesse Goff.
Jesse. How long have you and Jesse been friends?
Since I was 5 years old, ma'am.
And what was he in prison for?
Assault.
Assault?
Yes, ma'am.
How long had Jesse and Miss Bell been friends?
They had known each other for a long time. I never met her. She said I knew her before they started dating. I never met this girl until I came home. I didn't know who she was. So that's a lie right there.
How long did you think they were involved? He was in prison with you, right?
We were in the county jail together.
Oh.
Yes, ma'am.
When were you in the county jail together?
2003.
Did he know her then? Were they involved then?
I take it. No, they weren't involved.
No, we were
When
not.
did you first hook up with Jesse?
I started talking to Jesse actually back in high school, about 9th grade.
When did you start to see him romantically?
I want to say July.
And he's just out of jail?
Yes.
You're his mother?
I am.
Sometimes you bake a souffle and it falls. Happens. Tell me about the loan.
I loaned him $4,589 on September 29th to pay off his charges, which I have receipts of.
Well, tell me how it came about that you laid out that money.
Well, I saw him apply after job after job after job, and he kept getting turned down because he didn't have his license. And
what do you mean you saw him?
Well, I would take him and Mr. Goff to apply at jobs. And
why would you do that?
I was trying to help them out by taking them to fill out job applications so they could get a job, and I didn't want them to get locked back up. And I asked Mr. Carper if I were to pay off his fines, he could get his license and get a job, and if him and Jesse were willing to be my roommates, because I'm going through separation, so I...
Separation from?
My husband.
You have any children?
I have a 3-year-old daughter.
So you wanted to take your 3-year-old daughter and be their roommate?
Yes.
Who do you live with now?
Now I live with my parents. I'm currently trying to sell.
Stay there, because your judgment is impaired, big time.
Recently it has been, I do agree.
If you are a 22-year-old woman and your judgment is impaired and all you're doing is hurting yourself, that's one thing. But to take your 3-year-old child and on purpose move in out of your parents' home into an apartment with 2 convicted felons who were on parole, one for drugs, and I'm not so sure about him now, is the kind of lapsed judgment that your parents aren't going to tolerate.
It's actually a house that I own, and my husband, my ex, moved out, and I could not afford the mortgage, and I actually lived there, and it was either I find some roommates or I try
I
to
don't care if you have to live in a shelter. You don't take a 3-year-old child and put a 3-year-old child in a circumstance where you have 2 convicted felons, one of whom was there for pills.
I agree.
Got it?
It was also cocaine.
So you paid off his fines?
Yes.
And how was he supposed to pay you back?
He was going to pay me monthly because I actually charged it on a credit card, and he agreed to pay me monthly. At first, a little bit over the minimum payment, and then, you know, he was going to pay me a lot more.
What were the fines for? Can I see the piece of paper that you have? You think that's a real diamond in his ear?
It definitely is.
I doubt it.
Is that a real diamond in your ear?
Of course, ma'am. I don't wear fake things.
What?
I said I don't wear fake things. Just
Could I see it, please?
You
yeah,
said
take it out.
Wow.
Thank you. Felony fee, fines, $1,000. Felony fee, $350. Jail admission fee, $25. And court-appointed attorney, $437. Love it. Commonwealth of Virginia. Good for Virginia. And what would happen to you, Mr. Carper, if you didn't pay these fines?
They would probably violate my parole.
And then what would happen to you?
Then I would not see the light of day forever.
What do you think fines are for, sir?
To be paid, ma'am.
Because they're part of your what?
Probation.
Part of your what? Punishment.
Yes, ma'am.
And if somebody else pays your fine, then you have no...
Punishment.
Right. Why do you think a court would allow that to happen?
Because it's the law, ma'am.
What's the law? Why do you think a court would allow somebody else to do your punishment? Let me ask you this, sir. We've already established that payment of the fine is what?
Punishment.
Right. And you're going to jail was a form of?
Punishment, ma'am.
Now, you couldn't say to somebody else, listen, I want you to do me a favor. I don't feel like going to jail. I'm going to go out and sell a whole bunch of pills and maybe a little cocaine, so I'm going to have a couple of bucks, you know. I'm going to give you $10,000 to do my 30 months. You think that the state would permit that to happen?
No, ma'am.
What would the person say to you now? I don't mind going to jail. I have nothing else to do. I could really use the $10,000. I'll go to jail for you for the 30 months. You think the state would permit that?
No, ma'am.
Because then you wouldn't be doing your own. Let somebody else pay your fines. You're allowing somebody else to do your...
Punishment, ma'am.
Is he a quick learner or what? So the first thing you have to do in order to do your punishment is sell your diamonds. That's what the first thing that people do is sell their diamonds, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Then they pay the rest of their debt, $4,500. Maybe you can get $89 for this Hope diamond. When did you give him up as a boyfriend?
We weren't really actually together because he's not capable of just having one girlfriend. We were supposedly together for probably about maybe a month.
You are an articulate, nice-looking girl who clearly has very low self-esteem. Because if you didn't have low self-esteem, you wouldn't have been involved with either one of them.
Correct.
You have parents who have a business, you have a child, you've made some bad judgments, but you're only 22 years old. You have the capacity to change. You have anything you want to add to what I've already said?
I do.
I mean, I'm just dying to hear why you would come be her witness if your son is sitting over there.
Because what's wrong is wrong, and you're absolutely right. He's skating his punishment.
Do you have anything new to add?
I think it's a fine how you do to thank somebody for doing all that she did for you.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. By the way, did she also pay your son's fines?
Yes, she did.
Did he pay her back?
No, we actually go to court for that on March 7th in Prince William County.
Should we just hang out here?
Just a second. Just a second. So why don't you do this? You're his mother, right?
I am.
You made him. You raised him. Why don't you pay his fines?
Because he's 24 years old and I'm not responsible for him anymore.
Right, yeah, I know, but you're more responsible than a stranger. Maybe you should just
I would not have paid his fines in the first place.
You would let him go back to jail?
I would.
You're absolutely right. Sit down. In any event, she paid $4,589 in order to keep you free. I'm entering a judgment for $4,500 and his diamond. Thank you. That's all.
Deborah Weatherford and her 14-year-old son, Trevor, are suing Trevor's former friend, 16-year-old Justin Townsend, during a slumber party.
You're his mother?
Yes, ma'am.
Sit down. You're his sister. You can stay seated. No, you... Right there. According to the complaints that I read, each of you, through your parents or guardian, suggests that the other assaulted him at a sleepover party you were having at somebody's house. Both of you claim that you were injured?
Yes, ma'am.
And since the parents weren't there and the sister wasn't there, you're going to stand up on your own and tell me when this was and what happened.
Yes, ma'am.
I would suggest to you, if you think about lying, turn around and leave. If you think about stretching the truth, it will be a very unfortunate day for you. So I expect to hear from you nothing but the...
Truth.
Correct. What's your first name?
Trevor.
And yours?
Justin.
How long had you been friends?
A few years.
And tell me when this incident happened. Where were you, Trevor?
I was at my friend Austin's house.
How many people were there?
About 6.
Remember the date?
No, ma'am.
Do you remember the date?
No, ma'am.
Do you remember the month?
No.
I'm honestly not sure.
Did you have medical bills?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, if you had bills, then I bet you your mother remembers what date this happened. What date?
September 5th, 2007.
Where were Mr. Austin's parents?
They were back in their room.
And there were 6 people sleeping over?
Yes, ma'am. We were in the living room. We were all playing around. We were having a pillow fight, just playing around. And I decided I wanted to stop, so I sat down and was watching TV, and I was hitting the back of the head with the pillow, like, really hard. And I turned around and asked my friend who did it, and he said Justin. I assumed Justin Townsend.
You assumed it was him?
Yes,
You
ma'am.
didn't see him, did you? But somebody else said Justin. How many Justins were there?
2.
So you went over to this Justin, and what did you do?
I hit him with the pillow.
You hit him. What was he doing when you hit him?
He was sitting down.
So he wasn't doing anything?
No, ma'am.
Did you hit him in the face or in the back?
I wasn't paying attention where I hit him. I just hit him with the pillow.
Did you hit him because you were angry?
Yes, ma'am.
So I assume you hit him as hard as you could.
Yes, ma'am.
And what happened?
I turned around to walk off. I heard him say something, so I turned back around and I was hit in the face.
By whom?
By him.
And?
I was hit in the face and knocked back on my back. I got back up and went into the kitchen, and I saw blood, so I went back in there and grabbed a lamp and hit him with the lamp.
And?
After I hit him with the lamp, I walked back into the kitchen. He walked after me and asked me if I wanted to even out the other eye, and I grabbed a knife and told him if he came any closer, I would cut him, which
Yeah?
I understand was the wrong thing to do. And
The whole thing was the wrong thing for you to do.
yes,
You hit him first.
yes, ma'am.
Don't you get that?
Well,
What do you mean, well?
he was under the impression that it was Justin Townsend.
I don't
who
care
hit
what he
him.
was under the impression that it was Justin who hit him. It wasn't. Right?
No, ma'am.
So you made a mistake. You picked the wrong Justin.
Yes, ma'am.
And you hit him as hard as you could.
Yes, ma'am.
Because you were angry. And he got up and he hit you back.
Yes, ma'am.
And he gave you a black eye.
Yes, ma'am.
So you went into the kitchen, saw you were bleeding, came out, picked up a lamp, an object. So far you've been playing with feathers and fists. So you pick up a lamp and you hit him in the head. And then you went and got a knife. What is wrong with you?
Nothing's wrong with me.
I mean, why would you sue him? Your son did absolutely the wrong thing. Now you can stand up next to him. Your son, you can stand up next to your brother. Your son did absolutely the wrong thing.
Well, according to what the witnesses at the party told me.
Don't tell me what the witnesses told you, madam. That's hearsay.
Okay,
That's
well-
what your son says.
Okay.
Your son was there, not somebody that I can't question, because they're not here.
Okay, well then
Your
I
son
won't-
gave me the whole scenario. His
He-
words.
He did, and he hit Justin with a pillow, and Justin turned around and hit him with on a chair, jumped and punched him in the face.
So what? Out of nowhere, for no reason, your son came up and, according to him, using all of his strength, because he was angry, hit him for no reason. And he got punched back. And then your son went and got an instrument, a lamp, and hit him with the lamp.
Yes, ma'am.
And then he went and got a knife.
To defend himself, yes.
What do you mean to defend himself?
Because he had threatened that he was going to come back and punch even out his other eye. He didn't want any further more.
He hit him with a lamp.
Correct.
Mr. Townsend hit him one time in retaliation for him being hit. Your son hit him once with a pillow, hit him twice using a lamp, and then picked up a knife. You're lucky he wasn't arrested. So your complaint is dismissed. Now, were you injured?
Just slightly. I had a bruise from where he hit me with the lamp.
Where did he hit you with the lamp?
Hit me in my ribs in this area.
You owe him an apology. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Say, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I forgive you.
Is that sufficient?
Yes, ma'am.
Made a mistake, Mrs. Weatherford. Your son was the aggressor.
I didn't feel
Aggressors
that way.
sometimes get the worst of a fight. In this case, your son was very lucky. All he ended up with was a black eye. If he would have used the knife or used the lamp in a different place, it could have been a lot worse for him.
Ma'am, he ended up with a lot more than a black eye.
How many times did he get hit?
He got hit once, but he got hit very hard, and it wasn't with a pillow.
No, he got hit with a fist.
Yes, he did.
That's what he deserved.
I don't feel that.
Well, that's too bad what you feel. I'm telling you, legally, your son had no right because he picked the wrong Justin to hit him. He didn't inquire sufficiently.
That's your opinion.
No, that's the law.
Okay.
And if you want to continue to defend him, this isn't the last time you're going to be in court with him. You better learn to say, you made a mistake, dear. You're a big boy. How old are you?
14, ma'am.
14. And how tall are you?
6.
6 feet.
Yeah.
Right? Still growing. So you have to teach a child who's 14 years old. How much do you weigh?
220.
Who's 6 feet tall and weighs 220 pounds, that if he hits somebody, slams them with all of his might with a pillow, he can hurt them. Can knock out an eye, break something. Fortunately, that didn't happen. But when somebody who is, how much do you weigh?
120.
Who weighs 100 pounds less, punches him back and happens to connect, that's part of the risk. So you better teach him. Because right now, you're not teaching him anything. You're still making excuses for his behavior. Your case is dismissed.
Thank you.
You got an apology?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. That's all.
Crystal Hardison is suing fellow motorist Robert Jarvis for vandalizing her Ford Explorer by kicking it. Crystal claims her mother witnessed the incident.
Ms. Hardison, what kind of car do you drive?
It's a 2005 Ford Explorer.
95 Mitsubishi Galant.
What was the date of this incident?
June 2nd.
And you were going into a drugstore to get a prescription filled?
Exactly.
And what were you going to do there, Mr. Jarvis?
I was pulling in to get her my fiance a drink and a candy bar.
Was she with you?
Yes.
And you were both going to the same store, so you pulled in first.
Yes.
And it is your claim that Mr. Jarvis intentionally not only spit on your car, but also dented it.
Yes.
Mr. Jarvis says he might have spit on it, not intentionally, but he certainly didn't dent it. And your mother was with you.
Exactly. And my 11-month-old son.
Well, he's not here to testify, but your mother certainly is. When you went into the store, Miss Hardison, your mother remained in the car.
Exactly.
And when you went into the store, did your fiance remain in the car?
Yes, ma'am.
She pulled in first.
She was already parked.
Tell me what she was doing, Mr. Jarvis.
Well, as I was pulling in, I was waiting on her for about 2 to 3 minutes while she was brushing her hair with the door open in the parking place.
So you were waiting to pull in because she had the big door open for this SUV, brushing her hair.
Yes, ma'am.
How long were you waiting?
2 to 3 minutes tops.
Did you honk the horn?
No, I was just sitting there waiting to get in, being patient.
Why were you brushing your hair?
I'm pretty vain. So before I go anywhere, I always put my makeup on, brush my hair.
You were going to pick up a prescription.
Exactly. And that's my nature. If I'm going to a local store, I'll put clothes on, do my hair, and put my makeup on.
Hadn't you done all that before you went in?
I sure
before
did,
you
but
got
I
into
just
the
wanted
car?
to make sure everything was straight.
Didn't you see Mr. Jarvis waiting for you?
At the time that I opened my door to get my brush out my purse, no, I didn't.
But there came a time when you did see him waiting for you.
I saw a front end of a car behind mine, yes.
And you continued to finish brushing your hair and then you put the brush back?
No. Once I saw the front end of the car, I said, oh, he's waiting, and I closed my door and went directly into CVS.
What happened when you came out?
I got to my driver's side door, and I saw there was spit on the window. I opened my door. I said, "Mom, somebody spit on my window." And she can tell you the rest.
Step up, please. What is your last name?
Durante.
Tell me what happened that day on the 2nd of June in the parking lot.
Okay, on the 2nd of June, my daughter had to go to the pharmacist to pick up a prescription. And she got out of the car, opened the passenger side.
We got past the fact that she was
Okay.
brushing her
When
hair
she-
to make sure she looked perfect.
Okay.
Never know who you're going to meet in the pharmacy.
Exactly.
Yes, Your Honor. Okay, Crystal came out. She says, "Mom, who spit on my car?" I said, "Don't worry, I got his tag number." I was sitting in the car on the passenger side, watching an incident on Route 1 to my right, and I see this man walk up to the car and just cover the window with spit. I said, "I'm going to get his tag number." I went to get my purse. When I went down to get my purse, the whole car, Judge Judy, just like, yes. I looked up, I saw him, I heard his door, bam, slam. He was going, he closed his door and walked behind his car and got into the driver's side.
Okay, so a passenger door slam, and then he walked around to get into the driver's side?
Yes.
And the passenger side door was where your car was?
Yes.
Got it. Now, do you have any proof of damage to your car?
Yes, I do.
Because, Mr. Jarvis, I'm going to save you the trouble, sir. According to your answer, you were having sinus problems that day, so
Yes,
you
ma'am.
spit.
Yes.
You don't know where it landed.
No, I didn't have no intention of spitting on a vehicle. No.
It was just a bad sinus.
Yes. I had sinuses all
And
like that.
you caused no damage to the plaintiff's car.
Absolutely not.
Now I'd like to see the... Okay. See, I'm going to save you all that trouble.
Your car's green.
My car's green.
But your boot isn't damaged.
And besides, my car door don't go that high. It's
It may not have been your car, sir.
and I was never on that side of the vehicle. I was driving.
Mr. Jarvis, what you're asking me to do is to say to this lady that she's lying. Now, common sense, which is really what we're about here, suggests to me that you were annoyed at this young lady.
No, actually, I wasn't.
Well...
I was being patient.
Well, listen. Then you are the only one I know who, under those circumstances, wouldn't be annoyed. I would be infuriated.
But to be cussed and belligerent.
Just a minute. I would be infuriated if I was sitting there patiently and somebody was not just putting a baby in a car, because that you wait for, you know, adjusting a car seat or whatever, but somebody standing there with an open door, primping and brushing their hair while I'm waiting to get into a parking space would rile the hell out of me. I can't even tell you what it would do to my husband.
Can I speak?
Sure.
Can I have her come up?
If you want to.
I'd just like to say that night when the police contacted us, the only thing that they said was that he spit on the window. When he called back to the police department, the police officer said that this was ridiculous and dropped it. 30 days later, we received it stating that there was damage. Why that night? Was there no record at the police department?
I have no idea. Maybe they couldn't see it.
And she drove all the way home and the spit stayed on the window?
Listen to me.
I mean, that doesn't make any sense.
Does she listen to me? my
Free
dear.
money. That's
I'm
what they're trying
speaking.
to get.
Does she look psychotic to you? No, listen to me. Not the daughter who was primping, who has to comb her hair before she goes to pick up a prescription. I'm talking about her mother.
I'm going to tell you, I'm a nurse. People are psychotic all the time and they don't look
Listen
it.
to me. Well, listen. I've been around twice as long as you have. This lady is not psychotic. This lady did not take down your tags and report this matter to the police because she was having a psychotic episode. That's my judgment. Now, let me see how much it costs to fix your car.
Okay. I have two estimates.
You have a 10-year-old car.
$578 for Windex is a little ridiculous.
Oh, it has nothing to do with Windex.
There's
It has-
no dent caused by him. That is definite.
That's just trying to get free money. Is what it is.
I never got out that car, so nobody was ever on that side of the car at any point. I was in that passenger side of that car.
Nobody suggested that you did any damage to the car, madam. Cheaper of the estimate is $369.80. Is that right?
Yes.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $369.80. That's all.
Parties are excused. 23-year-old Lisa Murray is suing her ex-boyfriend, 21-year-old Ish Easton, for the cost of a plane ticket to New Jersey. Ish claims Lisa is being vindictive.
Miss Murray, Mr. Easton and you dated briefly, according to your complaint, and you believe he owes you for an airline ticket that you purchased for him in order that the two of you go home to meet the parents. And then you broke up for the trip. Mr. Easton says that the going home to meet the parents was strictly your idea. He never asked you to buy the ticket. You bought it on your own, so you pay for it, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. When did you meet him?
February 2006. We were working together.
And when did you start dating?
We started dating in the beginning of June 2006.
And when did you want to go and introduce him to your family?
Through the month of June or in the beginning of July 2006, our relationship became serious.
No. You're talking so fast I can hardly understand you. I asked you a simple question. When did you want to take him home to meet your parents?
July 2006.
After 4 weeks? Why?
Well, I had missed my family very much, and he also said that he would like to go. He was excited about going to see New York City and seeing New Jersey.
If he was so excited, why didn't he buy his own ticket?
He currently did not have the money at the time, nor did he have a credit card.
What was the arrangement that you made with him?
That when we came back from our trip, that he would be reimbursing me.
And when did you break up?
September.
And when were you supposed to go to New York?
September 9th, 2006.
I'll hear you.
After she had initially brought the idea to go visit her parents, I told her then, I was like, well, I don't have money.
No, look at me.
Oh, I told her then, I don't have money to pay you back for any kind of ticket before we even discussed repaying anything.
Why would you say that to her? I thought you met at work.
This is after we started dating, man.
No, listen to me. You're not listening. You don't have your listening ears on. You said, I don't have any money. And she just told me that you met at work in February of 2006. What kind of work were you doing?
I, at the time, was working at Home Depot, man.
And in July, where were you working?
I worked for a structural engineering firm.
And in August?
Still work there, man.
Okay, so you were working, you were employed.
Yes.
Do you have children?
No, before dating Miss Murray, I was in a previous relationship. Separating from that relationship, I had to move back home. But upon moving back home, my parents were like, well, you got to help pay bills and stuff like that. So I pay half of everything.
So?
Leaving pretty much nothing.
Well, that's not true. You have money to eat out, right?
On occasion, ma'am. And that was money that I was like, Mom, you know, can I borrow $50 to go out? Or
Mr. Easton, when you discussed with Miss Murray going to New York, I don't believe that you said to her, I don't have the money to pay you now, and I'll never have the money to pay you back. Because I don't think that under those circumstances she would have continued to see you, because that would have sounded like something a bum would say. I don't have money now, maybe. I'll never have money to pay you back. I wouldn't have taken you to meet my parents. I would have been humiliated to take you. You're a bum. If you say, I'll never have any money to buy an airline ticket for $295. So I don't believe that you said that to her. I believe that you probably said to her, I don't have money to pay for it now. That I believe. Now, when did she buy the ticket?
She called me and was like, I bought tickets to go to New Jersey.
No, you had already discussed it. So don't say it came as a surprise to you. It didn't come as a surprise.
I don't know the exact date of her
When did you
buying
purchase the tickets?
July 25th, I purchased the tickets. I have phone calls.
Shh. And she told you that she purchased them in July?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. And you were working in Home Depot?
I was working at Home Depot and the engineering firm at the same time.
So 2 places?
Yes, ma'am.
What did you do with the ticket?
I was unable to refund it because he broke up with me within 24 hours prior to canceling it.
You have the bill?
Yes.
Why did you break up right before you were ready to leave for New York, sir?
Well, there was a span of like 2 weeks where her and I barely ever saw each other. And that was because my work schedule at the engineering firm went from a regular 8-hour day to 9 to 12-hour days. And I didn't have time to see her. It was work, home, work, bed, pretty much.
Okay.
A gentleman that I play football with, his girlfriend and Miss Murray became very good friends, hanging out, had informed me that the plaintiff had gone to MySpace and read a quote that I'd written on MySpace. And that was one of the first issues. One of the other issues was
Did you say something not nice about her?
I didn't say anything toward her at all. The quote that I left on my page said, due to the pain caused by love, to love I say. And that was nothing toward her previous relationship exactly to that. Then it went from that to she had been saying, oh, I don't have money, I don't have money, I don't have money. Well, then my friend's girlfriend is like, oh, we went shopping today. And Lisa bought this, and Lisa bought that, and Lisa bought this.
Why does it make any difference to you whether she said I don't have money?
Well, because if you're going to tell me you don't have money, then how are you going to turn around and go shopping?
She wasn't asking for money from you, was she?
Initially broke up with her because she lies. You can't trust a liar. You can trust a thief because you know they're going to steal. You can trust a killer, you know they're going to kill. But you can't trust a liar. I asked her, I said, well, did you go on my MySpace page and read that? She said no. And before that, I said, is there anything you want to tell me about that you haven't said to me in the past? No, there's nothing I can think of.
You're going to get your $2 back for the ticket. Before you leave, you get down on the floor, on all fours, kiss the ground, and say, God, thank you for terminating this relationship, because this guy is no good. No bargain, no good, no way. I don't know much about you. I don't know if you're good, but I can tell you right now, he's a bum. He's always going to be a bum, because he makes excuses for what he does that bear no resemblance to reality. That's what he just did. He just gave me a whole cock and bull story. In reality, he probably found somebody else to cover some of his bills. Because when someone is so smitten with a woman, they don't not see them for 2 weeks. They may give up sleeping, but they won't go work, job, work, school, work, and not see the person for whom they have lost their heart. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
So he made up a whole big story. Nothing in his story was true. So you're a very lucky girl that you got rid of him, because for somebody who doesn't like lying, he has become very proficient at it. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $295. That's all.
Francesca Lane says her son's ex-girlfriend, Kristen Hess, and her mom, Susan, owe for medical bills resulting from Kristen being rushed to the emergency room.
Ugh, what ridiculousness. I mean, I just don't understand, but apparently are intelligent people getting themselves involved in somebody else's mess. Miss Lane, according to you, you allowed this young lady, would that be you? The child of this young lady over here, to move into your house because she was the girlfriend of your 15-year-old son. Nothing could be dumber. Let's start out with that.
I agree, Your Honor.
Perfect. Then we have no problem.
In hindsight, it was a mistake.
The dumbest thing, and people do it all the time, seemingly intelligent people. A parent can't control their child. A parent says, I'm just as happy if some stranger takes her into the house, or some stranger takes him into the house. And reasonably intelligent people say, well, maybe I can fix this problem, and bring them into their home, which is probably a very calm, reasonable place to live, and all of a sudden there's turmoil. In any event, having gotten that off my chest for the rest of the world to hear, don't take somebody else's problem children into your house. She came to live with you.
Yes.
And there was an episode where you believed that she required immediate medical assistance.
Yes.
She was taken to a hospital emergency room. You're responsible for the bill, and you want her mother to pay that bill.
Correct.
Then there are charges and counter charges of harassment, which I'm really not interested in, because I think that that's a bunch of nonsense, because if this bill had been paid, we wouldn't have any harassment. So I'm turning to Miss Hess. Why did you allow your 17-year-old daughter to move out of your house?
Well, number one, she was rebelling. I said, do you want to take your little wings and fly and test me on this, being 17 years old and working 2 jobs and trying to maintain? Then you go right ahead.
Just a second. Who's working 2 jobs, her or you?
I was.
Okay.
And I tried to talk to this lady, but it wasn't possible.
Just a second. So you told her to get out?
Well, she took it upon herself
No,
to do
just a
this
second.
time.
I'm asking you whether you told her to get out.
At the time, when she was yelling and screaming about it, I said, well, if you think that's what you need to do, Chris, then you go right ahead. And then you're going to find out.
You're talking about your daughter?
Yes, ma'am.
You said to your daughter, get out.
17. Rebelling. Not.
Did your mother tell you to get out of the house?
No.
What did she say?
I said I wanted to go live with Francesca.
And your mother said what?
She said, if that's what you want to do, then go.
Your Honor.
What?
The story that I was receiving was that Kristen was having extreme abuse issues with her mother.
From whom?
From her mother.
From whom were you receiving this story?
Both Kristen and my son.
All I want you to do is tell me what Kristen said to you, not your son. Where is your son?
He does not want any further...
He's not here.
Correct.
Fine, then you can't tell me anything that your son had to say, only what Kristen had to say to you. Tell me what she said about the abuse she was having from her mother.
She said that there was physical abuse. She also stated that her mother had some mental issues and that there was some extreme situations regarding that.
Is that what you told her?
No. I
What did
never
you tell
talked to
her?
her about anything.
That's not true, Your Honor.
I didn't.
Well, what reason did you give her for wanting to come and live with her?
She wanted me to be a nanny.
Nah, that's ridiculous. That's a lot of baloney.
I don't need a nanny.
Just to say, that's a lot of baloney.
Her husband was going to Iraq, and she said she wanted me to move in to help with Carly.
That's baloney. You just told me that you had this discussion with your mother, and your mother said you were rebelling, and you were talking back to her, and you were difficult. And you said, I want to go move in with my boyfriend. And she said, if that's what you want to do, go. So don't tell me she offered you a job as a nanny, because that's ridiculous.
I think that's what it ended up being when she got there. Then
Well, when she got there, she may have said, listen, can you help me out with the children or the child or whatever it is? That's fine. I mean, she's living there. She's supporting her. I assume you gave her no money, right?
Oh, of course not.
Of course. Well, that's not of course not. It's not of course not. You told her to go. That doesn't mean you're absolved from the responsibility of supporting her. She's under 18. Do you understand?
Right.
Fine. Okay. So, when she got there, she said, listen, you're here, you're eating my food, you're living under my roof, you're using my gas and electric and water and telephone, you can help out with the kids. But that's not why you went. Now, tell me about this episode that landed you in the hospital. You had a what?
Urinary tract infection.
From too much sex?
No.
From what?
I get them, it runs in my family. We get them really easily.
Oh. Have you had that problem when you lived with your mother?
Yes, ma'am.
Has your mother ignored the problem?
No, ma'am.
She's taken care of the problem.
Yes, ma'am.
How has she taken care of the problem?
She would take me to the doctor.
And how often did she do that?
Every time I would get sick.
You know why she did that?
Because she cares.
No, because she cares. I hope she cares. But she did that because the law requires that she take care of her minor child's medical conditions. Otherwise, she's guilty of neglect. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. Now, when you were living with Miss Lane and you got this urinary tract infection, tell me about what you did. Did you scream? Were you crying?
Yeah, I was crying.
Were you crying because you told her you were in pain?
Yes.
What did you say to her?
I said my stomach hurts really bad.
So what did Miss Lane do?
She wanted to take me to the hospital.
And what did you say?
I said I wanted to wait for my mom to get off work to take me.
Is that what you told her?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that what she told you?
No.
What did she say?
In fact, Kristen had spent the majority of the day with her mother, and her mother had gone into work late in the evening.
You mean it wasn't hurting when you were with your mother?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you tell your mother about it?
Yes.
And what did she do?
She wanted to take me.
What did she do?
Nothing.
Right. She went to work.
Exactly.
And you went to work. And you went back to Miss Lane's house.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, if you have a history of urinary tract infections, and you know that it becomes a problem and it's chronic, why didn't you take the day off from work and take her to the doctor?
I told her I was going to take her the next day to doctor's care because we didn't have the money for the emergency room. I said, drink water and cranberry juice through the night until I can get to you because we didn't have the money to take off. And I said, I'll take you tomorrow, first thing.
Then you're neglecting your child. Why didn't you take her that day?
Because I had to work.
That's not an excuse when your child is sick.
She couldn't drink water and cranberry juice. I've done that for years.
An excuse. Well, evidently it didn't work.
This one here kept calling, harassing me at work. Tried to run my daughter off the road.
Just a second.
Going to school. I said, Kristen, let me help you. Mom, I can handle it. Mom, I can handle it. It's been nothing that's been like a fatal attraction.
What are you blabbering about? Now, your daughter spends the day with you. She tells you that she's got the urinary tract infection back, which she's had before, which you know is chronic, which she says runs in your family. And you say to her, go home to Miss Lane's house, drink water and cranberry juice, and I'll see you tomorrow.
I said, drink water and cranberry till I can get you there tomorrow, because I was at work.
Till tomorrow. What did I say that was wrong?
I was at work day and night that day.
Who cares? Your child is sick. You're not supporting her. How long had you been living with Miss Lane before you got this urinary tract infection?
Maybe not even a month.
And in the month's period of time, how much money did you give Miss Lane from your mother to cover your expenses?
I only paid like $15. The agreement was $15 a week for a few
How
weeks.
much money did you get from your mother to give Miss Lane to take care of your expenses was my question.
None. None.
You have other children at home?
I have 4 children.
How many children do you have?
I have 2.
How old are they?
16 and 18.
So you have a 16-year-old
I have a 16-year-old in Virginia with her father.
So you don't have any children at home?
She lives with me.
She wasn't living with you when she lived with Miss Lane.
I didn't want her to go over there. She shouldn't have let her go over there. And it turned into a harassment thing with this lady.
Miss Hess, that's a lot of excuses. If your daughter spent the day with you, day before this incident occurred, then you should have said to her, sweetheart,
I was not
you're not going
spending
home.
the day with her that day. I was at work.
Oh. How much is the bill?
Your Honor, I have one bill for $13.86, a physician bill for $2.11, and I also took care of all her prescription bills, which came to right around $70.
But, Your Honor.
Go.
Can we show you on the paperwork where this one
She
went there?
told me that she wanted to foster me. She wanted to adopt me, put me on her health insurance, her driving insurance, wanted to make me part of the family, everything. She even wrote it on the paper that she was my foster mom, told me not to worry about the bill, that she would take care of it until Colby broke up with me, and now she's trying to get me for the bill.
Went back and changed
You
the paper.
are an idiot. And that's also probably congenital. Listen to me very carefully. Your mother is responsible until you are 18, which you are not, for your food, clothing, shelter, medical care, and all other necessaries, period. End of discussion. Unless you are an emancipated minor, which I haven't heard you went to court to become an emancipated minor. Do I make myself clear? Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1667. That's all.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Robert Skelsey says ex-girlfriend Chalise Roberts owes for rent and the return of his clothes. Chalise says the money and clothes were both gifts.
Have a seat.
Thank you, Bird.
You're welcome, Judge.
Mr. Skelsey, you and Miss Roberts, according to the complaint that I've read, dated for a period of time. You claimed that you made her a loan of $250 at some point for rent. In addition, after you were no longer together, you never lived together, but you probably stayed over occasionally at her house because you claim you have some clothes at her house that she refuses to give you.
A few nights, yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Roberts says that the $250 that you gave her for her rent was a gift and that everything in the house that was yours you took. When did you date Miss Roberts? From when to when?
We met each other in January of this year. We met off a chat line kind of thing. We just started dating right off the bat.
You both live in the same community?
Yes, in the same area, yeah.
And when was this loan that you gave to her?
The loan was in May. She was having financial difficulties.
Tell me about the conversation that you had with her when you discovered she was in financial distress.
Actually, she asked me. She said,
No.
She did. She asked me. She goes, I'll do anything for you. Can you loan me some money? I'm having financial difficulties. I said, can you ask, one of the fathers of your children
He
can,
offered to
do
give Listen
this?
to me, Miss Roberts. Don't speak again until it's your turn.
And she said that she didn't want to do it because she was scared of like a custody thing. I said, okay, I understand. I have the extra money, and I'm going to need the money back soon, but I have the money right now available to you. I said, so here's the money. I wrote it out to her landlord.
You have a copy of the check?
Oh, yeah.
I'd like to see it.
Yeah.
You want to go?
Yes.
You shouldn't do that.
Okay, May 23rd. Was she late in her rent?
She wasn't working because she was sick.
No.
Was she late in her rent?
No, I'm asking you. This is dated May 23rd. Was this for May's
Yes.
rent?
Yes.
So you were almost a month late in your
Yes.
rent. Okay, so that's the loan. She never paid you back.
No, ma'am.
When did you stop dating Miss Roberts?
Oh, we stopped dating in like the end of February. We became friends with like benefits kind of thing. And, I'm not one to move fast with a relationship. And her
Oh.
feelings moved fast with me.
So you stopped dating in February,
Yeah.
but remained friends.
Oh, yeah, close friends. Very
Good.
close.
And shortly after the loan, you stopped speaking?
Almost automatically right after the loan. She said she was busy with work and everything else, but all of a sudden a day-to-day, call or hanging out or whatever becomes, I didn't hear from her for like a week.
Okay. And what clothes do you have at her house, Mr.
Nike
So-
sweatshirt, a Champion sweatshirt, and a Nike pair of shorts.
Okay. You're not going to bother me with those things, are you? You know how many years I went to school? You know how many years? A lot of years. You don't
More
think
than
I'm
me.
going to be bothered by your Nike sweatshirt or Nike sneaker, or whatever it is that you're just talking about?
I value my clothes.
Yeah, good. Shouldn't have left them at her house.
I thought I could trust her.
Listen to me. This is not a give and take.
All right.
Do
Sorry.
you understand?
Mm-hmm.
We're not on an equal footing.
Okay.
I will discuss this alleged loan.
I also have a proof on a tape recorder.
That
She admits to borrowing the money. I got it off my answering machine.
I'm going to hear it.
Right now?
Now's the time.
2 p.m. You are out of your mind if you think you're going to be taking me to court and thinking you're going to extra $100 more than what you let me borrow for clothes. Come on now, Rob. It's ridiculous. There's clothes that you gave me to see what the you get out of me. All right? You want to do it this nasty way? I'm going to be a nasty and do it evil too.
There is a way to communicate, Miss Roberts, that doesn't involve profanity. You do understand that?
Yes.
Now, how old are you, madam?
26.
And how many children do you have?
I have 4.
And how many fathers do your 4 children
2.
have? 2 for the youngest, 2 for the oldest?
Yep.
No, she told me.
How old are your children?
9, 8, 6, and 5.
Okay. Why did you run short of money?
Because I was out of work, I was sick.
What was the matter with you?
I had strep and mono.
For how long?
For 2 weeks.
So what did you say to the plaintiff?
We were friends. I cried to him that I was late in rent. He offered to give me the money. At first, I said I didn't want to. And then, like a week later, I mentioned it again, how I was stressed out, and
No,
he
you
offered
didn't mention it again. That's not a mention. First, you told him, you cried, offered you the money. You said no. Okay? Then it's over. You say no.
Right.
But then a week later, what did you say to him?
Then I was crying again, stressed out that I was behind, and then he offered again. And then I said yes.
Shh, shh, shh. Remember what I said to her?
I did. Sorry.
So he helped you out with the rent?
Yes.
And then you went back to work?
Yes.
So why don't you pay him back?
Because then I got threatened with court.
Can I explain?
Well, just a second.
And it wasn't a loan to begin with.
Just a second. You know you have to pay rent. Miss Roberts, listen to me. Rent isn't something that comes up and bites you on the behind like a surprise. You know the first of every month you have to pay rent, right?
Yes.
This isn't an unexpected medical bill, an unexpected bill because your generator broke in your car, an unexpected bill because the brakes went dead. This is a set bill, you know. $250 for rent.
Your Honor, can I explain something?
Yes.
She said she was going to pay me on a certain day. I didn't get a phone call. I tried calling her 1,000,000 times in one day. I went to her house, not trying to harass, but, you know, make good on the deal. We're friends. Why are you going to avoid me? And then she tells me that she's stiffing her landlord because she wants to get out of her lease. So what makes her think she ain't going to stiff me?
Just a second. What do you mean she was stiffing her landlord?
She doesn't even live at her current address.
Yes, I do.
Oh, you told me you were going to stiff your landlord, and your
How
phone
do you,
got shut
listen
off.
to me, did she explain that to you, sir? How she was going to stiff her landlord just by not paying him rent?
Said that she wanted to get out of the lease, and the only way she could get out of it is by not paying her rent.
So then
I'm
why
still
did you
at
give
my
her
address.
Then why did you give her $250?
Because she didn't have the money for rent, and her landlord said she'd get thrown out on the street, and I did it for the kids. I didn't do it for her.
All right, Miss Roberts, was he annoying you after you stopped taking his phone calls?
He wasn't annoying me. We were still really good friends. And we went for a walk one time. I do long walks to exercise. He came with me, and he asked me how come I haven't talked to him really, how come I seem so distant. And I told him because I was kind of seeing someone else, and he got mad.
Oh, that's a lie.
Shh.
I knew you were, though.
Just
Oh, you were dirty.
listen to me. If you open your mouth again, I'm going to say goodbye. Do you
Okay.
understand?
Yeah. Wow.
Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am. You got to understand, please. Sorry.
Miss Roberts, I want you to pay very careful attention to me. My sense is that you've made a certain amount of mistakes in your life. I think based on your history that that's a fair statement. You have 4 children, only 2 of them live with you. You got yourself in a financial pickle to the extent that you couldn't pay rent at your age with 4 children. That suggests to me that you've made certain tactical errors in your life.
No, I don't think so.
Well, from a more mature perspective, I'm telling you that if you have a 9-year-old child and you're 26 years old, then you've made certain mistakes in your life. You have to wait until you grow up. You have to wait until you grow up to have children. Otherwise, you have 2 children who don't live with you. Now,
That's not even
what you don't want to do is make another mistake. Uncross your arms.
I'm sorry.
He can be a problem. I want you to take that from somebody who has been around people for a very long time in this circumstance, and I'm telling you that if pushed, he can be a problem. So what you have to do is you have to say, do I want another problem in my life? Do I want this man angry with me, lives close by, I have a new relationship? Do I want him to have any connection to me that I can avoid? If not, and the only thing that's holding us together is a $250 rent check and a Champion sweatshirt, I can either have peace or I can have grief. And if you're a mature 26-year-old, you say, $250? price of peace? It's well worth it. Do you
The only
understand?
payment he
do you
wanted back was sex
Listen to me.
for that money.
Do you
That's all.
understand?
That's all
Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Does that make sense to you? For $250 and a Champion sweatshirt, I can have peace, or I can have him annoyed with me, feel as if he's been used, feel as if he's been taken, feel as if he's been abused, feel as if he's been made a fool of.
I did all the work there, too.
So,
Not ever again.
do you understand what I mean? He can't control himself.
Oh, I know.
That's what you want?
No.
You're an idiot if that's what you want. So I'm going to help you along. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $250. That's all.
What is our excuse?
Jennifer Knoll says former landlord Michael Clover owes for the return of her security deposit and rent money. Michael is countersuing for damages to Jennifer's apartment and for lost revenue.
Ms. Knoll, the defendant was your landlord. According to you, you moved in. You were forced to move out. You want your security deposit back. You want your rent money back. Plus, you want punitive damages for harassment. The defendant says that you were, in fact, a very difficult tenant, that you caused damage to the property. There was a leak emanating from your apartment. You had a dog that was in violation of the lease, and he is countersuing for those damages. Okay. When did you lease this apartment?
I signed the lease in December 1st of 2006.
Who was living in the apartment?
Me and my 3 children.
Were you working at the time?
I was not.
How were you supporting the children?
I had child support coming in, and I was having subsidized housing.
The rent on the apartment without the subsidy was how much?
$650 a month, plus a $100 utility escrow.
And how much were you actually paid?
$344 a month.
And the rest was subsidized?
Correct.
When did you move out of the apartment?
July 1st, 2007.
Tell me why.
Michael Clover and myself have had a very tumultuous relationship as far as landlords and tenants go. During my time as renting with Mr. Clover, he's accused me of owing him money several different times. He's came over to my house screaming and swearing at me along with his wife. I've had to have police escorts for him coming into my house.
Did you pay your rent on time every month?
Every month, and I did prove that to him in April when he sent me an invoice.
Can I see that you paid your rent on time every month?
That is up through, I believe, April, possibly later.
I seem to have checks, sir, for all of her rent with your endorsement on the back of those checks.
Correct.
So she doesn't owe you any money.
Yes, she does.
For what?
For rent and also for utilities.
Which rent does she owe you for?
She owes me for July of 2007, and she owes me for utilities.
Just a second. Was she living there in July?
No.
Okay, forget July.
Okay.
She lived there in June?
Okay.
Good. Let's move on.
I would like to state, within that $344, there was a $25 dog allowance in there. I had told him at the end of December that I was getting my dog back from my ex-husband, and my dog would be moving in there. So right in your paperwork that you have, it shows that I have been paying for my dog also.
I want to see the lease.
The lease does not include a pet.
Shh. Rent on the apartment was $650.
Correct.
And you received how much from the state?
$341.
$309.
Okay.
That's what she should have been paying you. $309. She was paying you $344.
She was owing for utilities, Your Honor. The utilities were not divided up to $100 a month until sometime in late 2007. They were getting out of hand because she wouldn't be paying the utilities. The bill was split in half.
No, don't speak.
And
he's talking now. Do you understand?
The lease states that they pay the utilities.
The utilities included into the month's rent.
No, impossible.
In January, I paid $244 because that was my portion of the rent, was $244 plus the $100.
That's impossible. I mean,
plus
it's
the
impossible.
$100 utility escrow.
Miss Knoll, your portion of the rent is $409
I believe he's
a month.
incorrect in that amount.
Your Honor, might I?
Is what you're telling me in your sworn testimony
Yes.
that you got $341 for her as a subsidy each month? Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you have any proof of that?
Yes, Your Honor.
My rent due was $208 plus the $100 utility escrow. $650 minus $341 is $208 plus the $100.
I believe there are only about 3 landlords in our whole area that accept the housing authority stuff, and we really go out of our way to try to help these people.
Just a second, sir. You just showed me a check, Mr. Clover, for February in the amount of $431.
Thank you.
You just showed me a check in the amount of $431, not $331.
I apologize.
Thank
It's
you.
$431.
Oh.
That's what the housing is paying.
Thank
That's
you.
very different, sir.
I'm sorry.
So it's $650 less $431 equals $219. That's her share of the rent.
Correct.
Now, she's been paying $344. She's been paying $100 for the utilities. That would be $319 and $25, you say, for some of those months for the dog.
Correct, and that included...
$344. Absolutely right. She's absolutely 100% correct based upon what you just gave me.
There was no agreement for a dog to be there, Your
Well,
Honor.
listen to me, Mr. Clover. Then why did you take an extra $25 a month from her?
She was paying erratically all along.
Erratically doesn't mean anything. She's paid up. I have her canceled checks that you cashed, sir. You want to dispossess somebody, you dispossess them. You go and you file a notice of eviction, you evict them. That's what you do. But you don't take their money. Okay, so you moved out. What do you want from him?
I would like the $650 security deposit doubled because he did not return my security deposit back within the 30 days mandated by Wisconsin statute.
Fine. Why doesn't she get it back?
Well, Your Honor, first of all, there was at least 3 times that I had called her to ask her about her rent.
I don't want to hear rent anymore. Listen to me carefully.
Off the rent.
She doesn't owe you a penny
Not
for
a
rent.
problem. Okay.
Doesn't owe you a quarter. You were paid your rent. Now, security deposit is what she wants back. She gave you $650 security deposit. Explain to me why. It's very easy. All you have to do is show me pictures. Show me pictures of the damage that she or her children or her dog caused to the property, and I will dismiss her.
Okay.
Very easy. Show me the pictures first.
Here are some pictures of the leak that was caused by her and repairs. This particular picture here shows where the damage was, is in the wall there, and is located right at this point on this type of a pipe. Now, this is a shower saver head, which is mandated in our area for all rental properties. There's a picture here of the shower head that she installed on there. It might be in those pictures. It's a white head.
I got it.
Okay, so it's a different one.
Just a second. Did you change the shower head?
Yes, but that is
Okay.
not the shower head that was on there when I moved in. That is not the
I don't
type
care
of shower head.
whether it was or whether it wasn't. When did you change the shower head?
Pretty nearly immediately.
Okay. And then there was a leak in your apartment.
I didn't notice a leak, no.
But there was a leak.
Apparently downstairs there was a leak.
Where was it coming from?
The downstairs tenant said it was coming from my bathroom area.
Okay. And did you fix it?
Yes, I did.
And where was it coming from?
Well, it was coming from this pipe that came out of the wall, and this pipe here was broken off in the threaded area. I brought this along to...
Just explain it to me, sir. Okay. Now, she replaced the shower head.
They
plumbing
broke it when they did that.
Shh. She replaced the plumbing fixture, which she's not permitted to do.
Right.
And what you're telling me is that was the cause of the leak that went into the lower apartments.
Correct.
Fine. And through the wall.
Yes, I had to cut
Fine.
the wall out, and
Fine.
the pictures show,
I see that you had to cut the wall out.
and the
You
downstairs...
can't do that.
The shower head that was in there had a hole in it, there was a crack on it, and it was not a shower saver.
Show me where you sent him a letter indicating that.
There's nothing saying that I couldn't change the shower head.
If you
He
change
told me
it-
to change
listen to
treat the
me.
place as my
Listen
own.
to me. If you put in a new shower head as a tenant and disconnect what he has, and I assume you did it yourself?
It was just a little shower
I
head from
assume you
Walmart.
did it yourself.
Yes.
And if there's a leak, you're responsible.
But the leak was there prior head per the conversation of the person underneath in my house.
Okay,
It had been
that's
leaking there for
hearsay.
months.
That's hearsay. What else, Mr. Clover?
Well, I'd like to get paid for the damages to
Just
repair
a second.
that leak.
Just a second. Show me the bill.
Okay.
No way. I said I want to see the bill,
Your
not
Honor.
what you typed up.
This is not a bill.
No, that you typed up.
This is a bill typed up.
Who typed
explaining-
it?
I did.
What else, Mr. Clover?
Your Honor, am I allowed to get paid for the work that I do on in my apartment as the maintenance person for myself?
If the question you're posing to me, sir, is, are you entitled to offset her security deposit for a leak that she caused, the answer is absolutely you are. And if what you do for a living is manage this building, then you're not entitled to your time. You are entitled to parts. You're entitled to helpers. But if what you do is manage this building and gain revenue from this building, there's no way for me to say to you, listen, you work 40 hours a week. You didn't do this other than your work week.
Your Honor, I charge $250 to cut a hole 6 foot wide by 2 foot wide.
This is what you do for a living, sir? Is this what you do for a living?
But I cut the hole through the drywall.
I got it.
I took the pipes and cut them. I welded them back together and put this stuff, and I'm not allowed to get paid for that time.
You are paid
Thank
for
you,
that.
Your Honor.
Sir, you are paid for that time.
How?
From renting your apartments. That's your maintenance on the apartments.
She caused the leak?
I am certainly, sir, listen to me. Hey! I am certainly prepared to compensate you and to deduct from her security deposit any parts that you had to purchase as a result of her negligence. Absolutely. Show me what you spent for parts, and I will absolutely deduct it from her $650. So because of that,
Your Honor,
listen to me.
Excuse me, Your Honor, with all due respect,
you're not
I'd like
paying
to ask
attention.
you.
You think you're going to talk over me, Mr. Clover? That's
No.
not happening.
I would just like
Mr.
to
Clover, that's not happening.
Okay.
What else, Mr. Clover?
Carpeting damage.
When was the carpet put down in the apartment that she rented?
2 years before she...
I'm not interested in carpeting damage. If it was put down 2 years before she moved in.
In the living room. In the bedroom, the carpet was put down just before she moved in. It was new.
Show me the bill.
Okay.
No. Listen to me. What I asked you for, Mr. Clover, you're not following me, sir. Put the picture down. I want the bill for the bedroom carpet.
Okay, Your Honor, allow me to explain, please. The place has been vacant since the tenant moved out. I got a letter from her asking to get out of her lease, and I told her that we would happily let her out of her lease if she was to provide us with another tenant to take over the responsibilities. Otherwise, we don't just let people out of their leases. Just, you know, you can get out next month.
I assume you're getting to the carpeting, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Get there fast. I have other things to do. Get to the carpet. I asked you for the bill for the carpet that you put in immediately before she moved in.
I don't have that.
Okay. Let me see a picture of the carpet immediately preceding her moving in the bedroom. Bedroom carpeting looks pretty bad. Miss Knoll.
This is the condition that the stove was left in, Your Honor.
Let me
I
see.
know that it's going to be hard for me to say that I want $25 to clean the stove out.
Do you have any other pictures you want to send up here?
May I see the
Yes, this one right here.
May I see the picture of the stove, please?
Absolutely.
Wait. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would like to mention quickly that this is my own personal stove. I had removed his and used mine and then put his back into the apartment. This is my own personal stove.
Did you leave these things in your apartment?
The stuff that was there was left there before I moved in. Nothing was left there of mine.
Just a second. He took this picture, and I assume you removed the stove. And when you left, you took this stove.
Correct.
Show me where you took this stove.
I can't prove where I took that stove. That stove is now in another apartment with my ex-husband.
No, I don't believe you.
It is. He
I
has
don't
a
believe
brown
you.
range stove.
Who moved the stove?
I'm sorry?
Who moved
My
the stove?
father.
You moved this filthy stove?
I did.
I don't believe it.
Oh, yeah.
Don't believe it.
And in
Okay.
fact, I can say that when we were moving it, it was heavier than sin because I helped.
Well, let me tell you something. This
That's
stove
my
is
stove.
Just listen to me. If it is, it's an indication that the place was a mess.
No.
And listen to me. If it is, if this is your stove, and this is an indication of the way you kept this apartment, just listen to me very carefully, madam. When I agree with you, I agree with you. When I don't agree with you, I don't agree with you. I told you, you're futzing through your papers. If this is an indication on how you keep your apartment, you kept your apartment messy. That's not a sin to keep your apartment in a messy state. But if this is an indication of a stove that you took with you, and gave it to your ex-husband, and why you would want to give this piece of crap to your ex-husband that you kept like this, I have absolutely no idea. Also, the carpet was clearly stained.
It was stained when I moved in. I asked Mr. Clover several times to provide me
Show
proof
me.
of the previous tenant's move
Show
out
me
record.
the letters that you sent him about the carpeting.
Not about the carpeting.
Just-
I have.
That's all I asked you. I said, show me a copy of the letter you said about the carpeting.
I don't have anything for the
Right.
carpeting. I have something for him claiming that I wanted to see why he was charging me, what he was charging me. I also have something
Well,
stating
clearly
that
this was not a
I
marriage
wanna
made in
see-
heaven. Madam, you paid rent and you live there.
I want to see
Should
what
listen
the
to me.
ex-landlord,
You paid
the
rent.
ex-tenant paid.
You paid rent and you lived there.
And I admit
And you
that
do.
the boys' bedroom carpet was messy.
And listen to me carefully.
But it was not new when I moved in.
Listen to me. You created a certain problem in the apartment through your own negligence. You are not getting your security back. End of discussion. What's next?
Mr. Clover did turn me into the child welfare. I have a showing here that I did not have. There was unfounded. My house was not messy except for the stove and a coffee pot.
Very good. Not interested. What else?
I want my 12 days rent back from December. I was not able to move in until the middle of December due to the inability
You don't
to
get
move in.
it. You lived there until July. If you
I
didn't
did
want to
move
move in, don't move in. What
I
else?
couldn't move in due to
What
the
else?
apartment's condition.
What else?
I could not move in due to the apartment's
What
condition.
else? You're not getting it. You lived there December, January, February, March, April, May, June. If you didn't like the circumstances, tell him. Tell him.
I did.
I'm
I asked
leaving.
several times,
Tell
and it
him
was condemned by
I'm-
the health department.
Then you shouldn't have moved in. You should have moved back with your father.
I
What
would have
else?
liked to, but I have 3 children, and
What
I need to have
else?
a house.
I'm sure he loves his grandchildren. What else? What else? That's it. You paid $200 a month rent for this apartment. The citizens of the county where you live paid the rest. You're not getting any money back. What else can I do for you? Nothing. Good. Now, listen to me. You've got her $650 security deposit.
Yes, ma'am.
You're going to have to make do with that to fix anything that you want
That's
fixed as a result of her tenancy.
That's fine,
We
Your
understand each other? What else do you want?
I would like $650 a month for lost rent and revenue up and through whatever is allowed by our state, which is $5,000.
Why? For what?
Her father is a police officer, and the day that I came over there to fix the water leak, and she was screaming and stuff at me about how mad she was about having to pay a $25 late fee for her rent. Then her father came around the corner with a gun on his side, and he had his hand on his gun, and he was in a hurry running up towards me with this gun. He had a mechanic's
Just a
blue
second.
shirt on.
What does this have to do, sir, with lost rent?
Father and her got together and had the city of Altoona go ahead and send me a letter saying that I could not operate that as a rental house anymore because it was in a commercial location.
Sir,
It
sir,
had
listen to
been-
me. Listen to me.
Yes.
If the city where you live does not allow you to rent, it's because they blew the whistle on something that they felt was improper, and you think that they have motives, which were ulterior motives, because she wanted out of her lease. If that's
Right.
what you're telling me, it doesn't make any difference. If you're not allowed to be a multiple dwelling, you're not allowed to be a multiple dwelling. And I don't care whether they had good motives or bad motives
All right.
for reporting you. Anyway, you have your $650. You, on the other hand, have nothing. You had a place
May
to
I
live.
state?
You live there. Goodbye. Good luck. Thank you very much.
Jennifer Spurgeon is suing her son, 25-year-old Ozzie, when he was arrested for writing fraudulent checks.
Miss Spurgeon, you are willing to acknowledge here in court that this is your child.
Yes, my son.
According to your complaint, he owes you for bailing him out of jail.
Yes, he does.
He says he never asked you. You bailed him out on your own. What were you in jail for, sir?
I forged some checks in 02.
For forgery.
Yes, ma'am.
And the forgery was in 2002?
Yes, ma'am.
When were you incarcerated?
New Year's Eve 05.
Is that because that's when you were arrested or because you violated your parole or probation?
That's when I got arrested.
For the forgery in 2002?
Yes, ma'am.
It took him 3 years to figure it out?
It took them 3 years to catch me, ma'am. I did because I didn't do anything else wrong.
Is that the only time you've been arrested?
No, ma'am.
Between 2002 and 2005, how many times were you arrested?
0.
Before 2002?
Couple, 2 or 3.
For what?
Me and a couple of my friends stole a racing four-wheeler.
Stole a what?
A four-wheeler, a racing four-wheeler when I was 17.
How old are you now?
25.
Oh, that's a long time ago. What else?
Possession of marijuana.
When was that?
I was 19.
Anything else?
Possession again.
Don't learn your lesson.
No, ma'am.
Now, is that forgery case resolved at this point?
Yes, ma'am.
Was it resolved after a trial or a plea?
After a plea.
What did you plead guilty to and when?
I pled guilty to forgery I'm not sure. It was like, the last case was just resolved 2 months ago.
Which last case?
Well, there was 3 counties the checks were in. It was 3 different counties.
Where'd you get the checks from?
A friend of mine.
Whose checks were they?
His checks.
You stole the checks from him or he gave them to you?
He gave them to me.
To do what with?
To get money.
What were you using the money for?
All kinds of different things.
So it took whatever county was 3 years to figure out what was going on. So you were arrested December 31st, 2005.
Yes, ma'am.
What was your bail?
In the beginning, it was $89,000.
Was your friend arrested too?
I don't have any idea.
Why was your bail so high?
Because of the amount of checks that there was.
How much?
I don't remember.
Give me a ballpark figure.
$1,500.
How long did you spend in jail?
46 days.
Was that the first time you had been incarcerated?
For 46 days, yes, ma'am.
More than a day or two?
No. It was the second time.
How long was the previous time you were incarcerated for a substantial period?
A couple days, no.
A couple of days?
Yes, ma'am.
So this was 46 days?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you like it?
No, wasn't fun at all.
How many times did you speak to your mother? Did you call her?
Oh, yeah.
You call her every week?
Every couple days.
What'd you talk about?
Everything. How I was doing, how I was feeling. Was I learning anything? Was I going to do it again? My daughter.
You have a child?
Yes, ma'am.
What do you do for a living now, Mr. Stephan?
I run a concrete business.
A what?
Custom concrete business.
Custom concrete?
Yeah.
You work all the time?
Most of the time.
You make a living?
Yes, ma'am.
You filed tax returns last year?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. How much did you earn?
I don't remember.
Ballpark.
$35,000.
Nice. And you only have one child?
Yes, ma'am.
Who do you live with?
I live with my father.
Still working the same business that you did last year when you were...
No, ma'am.
Making $35,000?
No, ma'am.
So you left a good business and you went into the custom concrete business?
Yes, ma'am.
So you must make more money?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Love it. Now, it's one of the things you spoke to about your mother, how unhappy you were in prison?
In jail? Yeah, of course.
Did you discuss with her bailing you out?
It came up time to time.
How did it come up?
I would ask her if she would bail me out, and she would tell me no.
And? And?
And?
But look where you are. You're here. 46 days later, you're here. So how did it come about, sir, that you got bailed out?
I finally made it to the last county that I was going to, and I made a phone call to my mom, and she had said...
Made a phone call to your mom at the last county.
Shh.
We do everything my way here, because it's my playpen. So you finally got to the last county where you had a shipment, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And the bail in the other counties had been sort of resolved, so you were waiting to get to the last place because they weren't letting go of you until you got to the last place, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So now you got to the last place and you called your mom and you said...
Hi, Mom, what's up?
And she said...
I mean, basically, that's what I called her and said, hey, how you doing? And she told me to call her back in an hour. She was working on something.
And that's all you said to her. Hi, Mom, what's doing?
How's it going? Yeah.
How's it going?
And she...
All right, good. Now he's at the last county. What day is it, Mr. Spurgeon?
Around the 7th or 8th of February, 06.
And he calls you from the last county that wants him,
Yes.
right? And what does he say to you, and what do you say to him?
He was pretty upset.
What did he say?
Mom, I can't take it anymore. You've got to get me out of here. I've called Grandma. Grandma can't help. She has no money. She's on disability and my father's pension. And
is this your mother?
This is my mom.
Mm-hmm.
I told him that I couldn't get him out. I didn't have any kind of money. All I had was my credit cards.
And he said?
I got a friend that's a bondsman. If you'll call him, he'll cut us a deal.
He said?
Ozzy gave me the name of the bondsman to call.
And did you call?
I did call him, yes.
And did you get a deal?
$1,500 is not a deal when, you know, I didn't get to spend any of it. You had to give it away.
Is that what it cost you to get him out?
Yes, all totaling.
What's your mother's last name?
McMullen.
Would you step up, Miss McMullen? How many grandchildren do you have?
17.
Is he one that you like?
He always calls up and says, this is your favorite grandson. That's okay.
Yeah, he's got a gift of gab. Did he call you from jail and ask you to bail him out?
Well, he said he needed help getting out, but...
Did he call you?
Yes, he did, several times.
Several times. And he said, I need help getting out?
Mm-hmm. He wanted to get out.
What did you say to him?
I can't help you. I'm on a fixed income, so I can't help you.
And what did he say to you?
I know. I guess he was fishing.
How many times did he call you? Trying to see if he could get some
3
money.
or 4 times, yeah.
Remember calling your grandmother?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you ask her for money?
Oh, yeah.
Remember calling your mother?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you ask her for money?
Yeah.
Great, thank you. Now we got it. Now you can be seated.
Okay,
thank you very much. See, I knew you might lie about your mother, Mr. Stephan, but I knew you wouldn't lie about your grandmother. You made some payments to your mother on this bail. How many payments did you make on the bail?
I gave her a couple $100.
Just answer my question.
I gave her a couple $100.
200.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that what he gave you?
He actually paid it to the bonds company.
How much does he still owe? When you paid off the entire amount?
$1,350.
Okay, so these are my questions, Mr. Stephan. When you forged those checks with your buddy and got some cash, whatever it was, $1,500, did you buy anything for your mother?
No, ma'am.
Did you buy anything for your grandmother?
No, ma'am.
Did you give your mother any money?
No, ma'am.
Did you give your grandmother any money?
No, ma'am.
Did your mother get any enjoyment whatsoever from the proceeds of your forgery?
No.
Did she know or in any way help you forge those checks?
No.
So that when you got busted for check forgery, this was owing solely to your bad behavior, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Why should anybody else suffer for your bad behavior?
They shouldn't.
Great. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $1,350. Thank you,
Judge.
27-year-old Lisa Lane is suing her ex-boyfriend, 27-year-old Scott Eberspacher, for the cost to fix her bedroom window. Lisa claims Scott was trying to wake her up by throwing rocks.
All right, Lisa, how long were you dating Scott here when he made this nocturnal visit to your house?
About a month and a half.
Who do you live with?
I live with myself and my son.
And Scott was supposed to be over, according to your complaint, at about 10 o'clock that evening. Or he's
Right.
supposed to be over that evening, and he shows up at what time, Scott?
I got there around approximately 2:20 in the morning.
Why?
There was no set time, Your Honor.
How old is her child?
He would be 4.
There was no set time?
He was supposed to be there
2:30 in the morning is not an appropriate time to go visiting, sir.
It's a booty call, Your Honor.
What?
It's a booty call. She always calls
Don't
late
be
night.
smart.
He was supposed to be
Just
there
a
before
second.
9.
Don't be... Listen, when I speak to you, you'll answer me.
Right.
According to your complaint, he was supposed to be there at 10. He wasn't there at 10. You locked the doors. He came 2 o'clock in the morning, rang the bell, whatever. You didn't answer. So he went to your window and he threw a rock at your window to get your attention. He got your attention. He broke the window. He came in. You spent the night together. Later on, you said, I want him to pay for the window.
I didn't know the window was broken.
All
until the
right.
next
Later
morning.
on, they found the window broken and you want him to pay for the window. That's what the case is.
I have a videotape showing a scenario of how
Yeah, how he did it. You're not dating him anymore?
No.
What does that mean? That was a hesitation.
No, I do not date him anymore. He's too irresponsible.
So you haven't... When was the last time you saw him, Miss Lane? It's not an answer, madam.
I don't remember. It was like a month or so ago.
And when did this incident happen?
It was after the window was broke, because we joked about it, because he didn't really mean to break the window.
When did he break the window?
In April.
Okay. She says you broke the window, sir.
I didn't break the window, Your Honor.
I have the text message where he says he'll pay for it.
Oh. Is that dated?
Yes.
Okay. Show it to Bird, because he is
'Cause
my
I
electronic...
sent-
I'm speaking. He is my electronic genius.
And so, if you just want to give that to the judge, then.
No, he doesn't give it to me. He's my electronic eyes and ears.
Scott Gold, you want me to find, but I say that this is why you pay association and insurance. I will probably never talk to you again if you want to go that route, so it's up to you.
What's the date of that?
May
Just go to the date.
May 29th.
Very good. And did you fix the window?
Yes, I did. And I have pictures of when it was broken.
I'd like to see the picture.
And I have the actual rocks, too. Here's the receipt, and here's the pictures when it was broken. Do you want the rocks?
You want the rocks?
No. Stick the rocks back where they were. These are the best pictures you could take.
I took a video flicks on my camera phone, and that's the best that we could come up with for a still shot. But I have the videotape right here that
I'm
shows-
not interested in it.
Okay.
April 27th at 2:20 a.m. is when I went over to Lisa's house. And at that time, when I did, in fact, I tossed a ball, and then I tossed a very tiny pebble the size of a dime. Did not break the window. Matter of fact, the next morning when she had walked out, we'd walked out together. There was no broken glass or anything to my appearance or her appearance.
That's not English, to my appearance or to her appearance.
Okay. To my knowledge and to her knowledge, there was nothing broken.
Don't tell me about her knowledge. So your knowledge,
To my knowledge, there was
no
nothing
broken window. Well,
Correct.
Then your knowledge is limited. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $360. That's all.
Rick Strand claims ex-wife Marilyn Johnson owes for back child support that she agreed to forgive. Rick says the state is coming after him for the money.
Mr. Strand, is this your ex-wife?
Yes, it is, Your Honor.
And you have one child together?
Yes, Your Honor.
Your claim is that after you divorced, you were paying child support, not always consistently.
Yes.
And there came a time that your former wife remarried, and she approached you with the idea of asking you to relinquish your parental rights, allowing her husband to adopt your child, a girl, in exchange for forgiving the arrears that you owed her in child support.
Yes, Your Honor.
You thought about that and decided that that would be a good idea.
After a period of time, yes, Your Honor.
And did, in fact, go to court and relinquish your parental rights.
I didn't go to court. I just went to the lawyer and signed off on the papers.
When did you do that?
I believe it was approximately June of 2005.
So your parental rights were terminated.
Yes, after the adoption was finalized.
Your claim is the state is now coming against you for the $3,800 that you owed in back child support.
Yes, Your Honor.
And you say that they're doing that despite the fact that you had an agreement with Miss Johnson.
Yes.
So you want the $3,800 because lots of bad things have happened to you. Like what, sir?
I've lost my driver's license and my source of income. I'm unable to find work right now.
What kind of work did you do?
I'm a truck driver by trade.
Miss Johnson says you never had a contract with her.
Correct.
When was this arrearage accumulated?
It started occurring when we separated before the divorce, on and off, when I'd get laid off in the wintertime and was unable to make payments through my unemployment until I got back to work and started paying again.
How many children did you have?
I have one with him.
And how many others?
2 others.
How old are they?
They are now 22 and 20.
So this was the only minor child?
Correct.
And what kind of work were you doing when you separated?
I was working, I'm not certain, ma'am.
Were you ever receiving any sort of public assistance?
Yes, ma'am, I was.
When?
When we separated in 95.
And how long were you receiving welfare?
Till September of 96, I believe. I'm not certain.
Subsequent to 1996, and you say you're not certain, so it could have been longer.
Or shorter.
Or shorter. Subsequent to that, were you ever receiving any sort of public assistance again?
Yes.
When?
I don't recall the date, but I was receiving daycare assistance when I was working.
And how much child support were you paying, Mr. Strand, when you were paying it?
It started out at $200 a month, and through cost of living increases, it had gone up every 2 years. The last time that it got increased, it went up to $404 every month.
Now, were you aware of the fact that your wife at that time and your daughter were receiving welfare?
I was aware of the fact that they were getting daycare assistance, yes.
Well, at some point she was getting welfare, and at some point she was getting daycare assistance, which is also another form of public assistance. And was it at that time that you were paying $200 a month?
Yes, Your Honor.
Were you always paying the $200 a month, or was that during the period of time when you were laid off, seasonally?
I always paid it when I was working, and when I would get laid off or when I was in between jobs, I wasn't paying it. But when I did get back to work, I always made a point to either contact the county or my ex-wife or both right away to let them know where I was working so that it could continue to be collected.
You understand, Mr. Strand, that this is your problem. Even if I believe that you had an agreement with your former wife that she would forgive the arrearages, she can't bind the state with regard to the arrearages. And if this $3,800 bill accumulated at a time when your daughter was receiving any sort of assistance, whether it be daycare or regular public assistance, she can't forgive that money.
Your Honor, there was a separate amount that was owed to the state and an amount that was owed to my ex-wife as the custodial parent. The part that was owed to the state has already been taken care of a long time ago.
Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
When was that?
That was taken care of when I filed bankruptcy last October. It was a sum of $1,100, and I was able to put that onto my bankruptcy. So the $3,800...
So the state's never been paid?
No, the state was paid while I was paying child support. So much would go to my ex-wife, and so much would go towards what was owed to the state.
I thought you said that money was discharged in bankruptcy.
Not all of it, just what was owed at the time that I filed my bankruptcy. Yes.
So the state did not get their $1,100. You had it discharged in bankruptcy.
Yes.
Why didn't you add this money?
Because you're not allowed in the state of Minnesota to discharge
child support
until it gets turned over to your ex-wife or to collections as a debt owed.
Now, why, Miss Johnson, do you think that your former husband agreed to terminate his parental rights?
Your Honor, I believe that he looked at her as a dollar sign, and he was never keeping employment nor paying his bills, and he just felt that this was an easy way to get out of his obligation.
Well, you asked him to do that.
I suggested it, yes.
No, you asked him to do that. You approached him. He wouldn't think about that. You approached him. And what did you say when you approached him?
I just said that you are not being a very good father. My husband is willing to adopt our daughter. If you sign over your rights, I will consider it.
Consider what?
That I could sign off if it was...
If it was what?
If I was able to.
If you were able to what?
Sign it off.
Sign what off?
The back child support.
Well, why can't you? If the state's been paid, you can sign off the back child support.
Because I don't choose to.
But you made an agreement to do that, madam.
No, I did not.
Oh, yes, you did. But I don't believe that under those circumstances he would have gone to your lawyer. By the way, who paid his lawyer?
I don't know, ma'am.
I didn't have a lawyer, Your Honor.
Whose lawyer did you go to?
Mine.
I went to her lawyer to sign.
Oh, so you went to her lawyer.
Yes.
Made an appointment for him to go to see your lawyer.
He made an appointment, yes.
Who you paid?
Yes.
Miss Johnson, I don't believe you. And I have to make a judgment. You want to try to convince me that you didn't make an agreement with him and not give me this answer I choose not to? Come on.
He was just not paying his child support, Your Honor.
So you said to him, I'll forgive your child support if you sign over your parental rights.
No, I did not. I said my husband has an interest in being my daughter's father, and if you would sign off, he says, could we then forgive that child support? And I said, we'll talk about it. But
no, I don't believe that. That's a lie. That's a lie. So, the two of you signed an agreement when you came here. It was a binding arbitration. Is that correct?
Yes.
I will draft an order to the state. What state?
State of Minnesota.
That I have determined after a hearing that you agreed to vacate any child support arrears that were owing to you in exchange for his agreement to terminate his parental rights and allow your husband to adopt the child. That is my finding. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much. That's all.
Alicia Blanchard claims ex-boyfriend Fred Bray borrowed a large sum of money from her and never paid it back.
Miss Blanchard, the defendant used to be your boyfriend, and you claim a series of loans to him while he was out of work in the amount of $4,200. Mr. Bray says that you didn't make any loans to him. Taking out loans, you and your brother, you were pretty flush with cash, and you gave him a couple of $100s when he needed it, but that was about it. So, when did he become your boyfriend?
In September.
Of what year?
06.
Could you keep your voice up? I'm getting old. And when did you make the first loan to him?
September 20th of 06.
So as soon as you met him, he needed money?
Yes.
How old are you?
21.
And where do you live?
In Marysville, California.
Who do you live with?
I live with my parents.
Do you work?
Currently, I don't.
How do you support yourself?
My mother gives me money for gas to look for work, and that's it.
Who were you working for in September of 2006?
Singular Wireless cell phone company.
What were you doing for them?
I was a customer service rep.
For how long?
For 7 months.
What were you earning?
Around $2,000 a month.
Did you file tax returns last year?
Yes.
How much did you earn?
$11,000.
Where did you get $4,200 to $100 to lend to him?
From loan companies.
Show me.
Hey.
What are these check cashing things?
Those are payday advance companies. You go in and you write a check, and on your next payday you pay them back.
Were you living at home when you were doing all of this stupidity?
Yes.
Well, tell me all about it. I'm really curious. All in September, September 29th, September 29th, October 2nd. So days after meeting him, you started giving him money, according to you.
Correct.
Yeah, and?
He actually worked as a loan agent when I had first met him. About a month after I'd met him, he had told me that he resigned from his job. He had told me he liked money coming in from different directions, that he wanted to borrow $200 in the beginning for a business license so he could help promote a rap group. He would help pay me back once he would receive that money. For help promoting those groups.
And what if he didn't receive the money for helping to promote the groups?
He told me that was a for sure thing.
But nothing's for sure. Maybe you didn't get any money.
He told me it was a first.
How many different times do you claim that you gave him money?
10 different occasions.
10?
Yes.
And you're telling me that you never used any of this money yourself?
I did.
You did. That's what I thought. How much of the money that you took out in loans did you use yourself?
About $1,900.
Let's say $2,000. How much did you take out altogether?
Altogether around $5,000.
Altogether $5,000. You used $2,000 for yourself, which leaves $3,000 that you say you gave to him.
I used that money to pay back loans. I pulled out
other
multiple
loans?
The loans that I had pulled out, I used that money to pay them. I would pull out a loan and then I would pay it back by pulling out another loan.
What I asked you, Miss Blanchard, was how much money of this money that you took out did you use for yourself?
About $900.
Well, first you told me it was $1,900.
That was the total of the money that I had used, but part of it was to pay back the loans, about $1,000. Around $1,000 was for myself.
And what did you do with the $1,000 that you took out yourself?
I was using it for gas and to live off of.
How do I know what you kept for yourself, to use for yourself? Who are you, the brother?
Yes, I am.
How much you gave to your brother of the loans you took out? Because you gave some money to him. We know that, right?
No, that didn't happen.
Yeah, sure you did. You took out some, you gave some to yourself, you gave some to him, and I think you gave him some. And you figured it would never catch up with you.
No, that's not what happened. My brother got $100, if that.
Well, so now you gave him $100. He says you gave him nothing. Is he lying?
No. He's not lying.
Well, he just said you gave him nothing.
I didn't.
I'm speaking. Is your sister lying?
No, she is not.
So she gave you money?
Not handed, but more like buying clothes, you know, products.
With the money she borrowed?
Yeah, she has to pull out loans.
You acted like a big baby with the loans. That's what you did.
I thought I was going to help him.
You also helped yourself and you helped him. And now you want him to pay for the whole thing.
I don't want him to pay for anything, just what's rightfully owed to me.
Well, there's no way of telling that, madam. How am I going to tell that? You kept no records. There's no question in my mind, based upon what you finally told me, that you used some of the money yourself.
The defendant made sure every time that I met him that I was by myself and that I had gave him cash. He did that purposely so that there was no records kept. He knew what he was doing. He was a loan officer.
Listen to me, madam. All you have to do is give him a check.
He told me he didn't want a check.
I don't care what he said he wanted. All you had to do was give him a check. All you had to do was give him a money order. But what happened was you took out all of these loans. Some money you spent on yourself, clothes, gas, eating out. Some money you spent on your brother, clothes, according to him. No records. So how do you expect me to figure out what it is that you gave to him when you don't know? Now, see, I'm finished with her. Now I'm going to start with you.
All right.
Let's start out with this. How old are you, sir?
28.
Have you been married?
Yes.
How many times?
Once.
Have children?
Yes.
How many?
One.
That child live with you?
No.
You pay regular support?
Yes.
To whom?
To the mother.
Directly or through the court?
Through the courts.
Which court?
Sacramento.
Do they take the money out of your check or do you send it directly?
I send it directly.
Have you been in arrears?
Yeah.
You think I'm asking these questions because I'm just making them up as I go? I'm smarter than you will be every day that you open your eyes for the rest of your life, sir. Do you understand that? Do you understand where I'm going?
Yeah.
Every day for the rest of your life, you're going to open up your eyes and you're going to say, I met a woman who was smarter than I am every day I open my eyes. You got it?
Yes.
Now, you took advantage of Miss Blanchard financially. You're 28, married, divorced, child who you don't support, no job.
I do have a job.
She had a job. She had the ability to take out money. She gave you money. She also paid some of your bills. Right?
Yeah, she did.
That means, sir, that you took advantage of her because you contributed to this relationship. Zero, nada, nothing, nothing.
Right.
That I can see, at least. Whatever it is, it's well camouflaged. Now, all I want to know from you, sir, is there's no question in my mind that you borrowed money from her.
No, I didn't.
Mr. Bray, this is not a give-and-take situation, sir. There is no question in my mind that you borrowed money from her and you said, When I get it together, I'm going to give it back to you. When the deal comes through, I'm going to give it back to you. Did she pay your cell phone bill?
She did it well on her own.
I didn't ask you that. I said, did she pay your cell phone bill?
Yeah, she did 3 times.
And tell me how it came about, Mr. Bray. You see, I'm an ecumenical abuser, sir.
I'll tell you.
Tell me how it came about that she paid your cell phone bill. How much do you weigh?
205.
How much do you think she weighs? A lot less than you, right?
Yeah.
She's a lot younger than you are. She lives home with her parents, right? Where do you live?
I got my own place.
And you've been on your own for a long time.
Yeah.
You've been to court a couple of times.
Yeah.
So you're a lot more worldly than she is. Tell me how it came about that she paid your cell phone bill.
We go through the same cell phone company. She went in her own. I didn't even ask her to pay it. She would do it on her own, send me a text message like, hey, hon, it's me, Alicia. I paid your cell phone bill. And she did it up until November. I never told her to go and do that.
Just a second. I didn't ask you whether you told her. You know, believe it or not, Mr. Bray, I have had boyfriends in my life. I know that sounds strange for you to conjure up, right? Strange. And unless one of them said to me, you know, I can't pay my phone bill or my phone bill's overdue or they're going to cut off my phone, I would never have known that they were overdue with their cell phone bill. So if something doesn't make sense, sir, it's not true. Do you get it? Now, you had no job, and you had a cell phone. If you have no job, then you don't need a cell phone.
I had a job. I still have a job.
I thought you gave up your job as a loan officer, sir.
I'm a loan officer, so I get paid 100% commission. I didn't quit my job. I told her the market was slow at the time when we met.
So you weren't getting any money?
Yeah, I still have other ways of getting money, though.
How?
I did a lot of promotions for a lot of guys. I don't know if you ever see them guys. Everybody want to be a rap star now. So since they were out there trying to sell CDs, what I did is I started a promotion company. I would come up with ways to try to help these guys market themselves, going into different clubs.
And you made a living at that?
No, it was something brand new that I just started at the time.
Money for the cell phone. Where did you get it from?
She paid it on her own. She really did, on her own.
Listen to me. The attraction, I hardly understand. Quite frankly. You have somebody of marginal intelligence who has no money, who has the responsibility of a child that he doesn't support, encumbered by a lot of things, including the fact that he's no stranger to the court system. All of these things. And you're a 21-year-old girl who lives at home with her parents. I don't get it. Must be a well-kept secret. In any event, you did a very stupid thing. How many times did you pay a cell phone bill? 3? What were the bills?
$50.
Each time?
Yes.
Okay. And how much money did she give you, sir? Not loan you. How much money did she give you?
I'll say about 16.
1,600?
Yeah.
Okay. So far, sir, by your own statement, we have $1,750. 3 months of phone bills and $1,600 in loans. Does that sound about right to you?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, I'm going to make it an even $2,500. How's that? Pick on somebody your own size, why don't you? You know, you used to taking advantage of women?
And take advantage of her.
Sure
Get it on
you
her
did.
own.
Sure you did. Do you think you could pull that baloney on me? Look at this face. You think you could pull that baloney on me? You think you could pull that baloney on somebody who was worldly? You know?
I didn't pull anything.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't pull anything.
Mr. Bray, I don't get you at all. She does. That was her problem. You owe her $2,500. Get rid of the smile and pay the lady. That's all.
Crystal Anderson says former roommate Dr. Leonardo Rodriguez owes for the return of her security deposit. Leonardo is countersuing for the return of a computer modem.
Miss Anderson, you rented a room from the defendant in his house?
In a house, yes.
In a house. Do you live in the house also, sir?
Yes, I do.
And the intention was for you to live there for a year, although you did not have a written lease?
Correct.
It was your understanding that there was some sort of internet capacity in the house because you worked from the house?
Correct.
Did you have a discussion with the defendant about that?
About it before I moved in or it
Yes,
not working?
before.
Yes.
In any event, you moved in and you found out that you could not work from the house because there was no, I don't know, Zoom, internet, whatever it is. I don't do that machine. and you told him you were going to be moving out.
After it did
You
not
want
work.
your security deposit back. The defendant says that you broke the lease that you had with him because she was supposed to stay there for a year, even though you did not have a written lease. And even though he rented your apartment or your room, he doesn't have an obligation to return your security deposit. In addition, he says that you took a piece of property that belonged to the house, some sort of a modem. So let's get to his counterclaim to begin with. Do you have his modem?
No.
Did you take his modem?
No.
What makes you think she took your modem?
Well, I have a photograph of the modem in the house under her desk at the time that she moved out, and it's gone along with the other property. So I can only assume that she has it along with the other things that were in the room.
Is it possible you have his modem somewhere?
I did look. I don't have it. But I can also tell you that the desk that it was behind, I didn't remove from the room.
Who did?
The roommate that moved in. He had to disassemble it.
Okay, I removed the desk along with the roommate and removed the plasma television from the wall and put it outside.
She doesn't have your modem. She doesn't have your modem, and she doesn't look like a thief.
I agree.
Good. So we've taken care of your counterclaim.
Well,
she doesn't have it.
Well, not quite. I don't know if she has it.
She says she doesn't have it, and you have no proof that she took it.
I have proof that it was under her desk at the time that she moved out, and now it's nowhere to be found. Time Warner?
You have a new roommate in there.
Right.
Maybe the new roommate took it when you were disassembling it.
We've gone through the entire room. We've
Just
looked
a second. I didn't say that you haven't gone through the entire room. Maybe he took it. Maybe he's the thief. You don't think so?
Well, I never actually...
No. You don't think so?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think she is either. Doesn't a lady who has a responsible position, who gave you a substantial security deposit, who paid her rent on time when she was living there, would steal something from you and then look at me in the eye and say, I don't have it. I didn't take it. I don't have it.
I mean, you say that she's a responsible person. I don't necessarily think that's true. I mean, who agrees to a one-year lease and then leaves 4 months after it?
I'm going to tell you somebody, sir. She. And now she's going to tell me why she left. You gave him a security deposit in the amount of $2,500?
The security deposit was just $1,250.
Okay.
It was in addition to...
It's clear, Mr. Rodriguez, because there's no allegation, that she left the room in other than reasonable conditions. So
Absolutely.
The only reason you're not returning her security deposit is because she breached the lease.
Correct.
Okay. When did you move in?
August 10th.
Did you pay August's rent?
Yes.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
Did you pay September's rent?
Yes.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
What about October?
Paid the rent in full.
And November?
Paid the rent in full.
Is that correct?
Correct.
And when did you tell the defendant that you were leaving?
In the middle of October.
Did you tell him why?
Yes.
What did you tell him?
I told him that the internet continued to have problems and would continually break down, and therefore I would spend numerous hours continuing to try to make it work, try to connect it, and if it didn't, I'd have to call Time Warner.
And what did he say?
He said that he didn't realize that it was that big of an inconvenience, that he would have done more about it if he'd known that it was going to make me move out of the house.
The first time that I had heard that it was a problem was at the point that she was moving out. I had no idea when she moved in that she was planning to run her business or her part of her business out of the room.
Did she tell you that she needed internet connection, sir?
Absolutely.
And what did you tell her about
That
it?
there's an internet connection that we all use. All 4 other people that live in the house are still to this day using an internet connection. However, it doesn't run at the speed that she needs to run her business. I never knew that she needed a specific speed to be run.
Is it slow running?
It runs average. It runs normal for me.
It would break down in my part of the room. It was split. The last time Time Warner had come to the house, they had spliced it so many times, according to what they say, that they would...
Tell me what they said to you. But you told him in mid-October, and you moved out in December.
December 1st.
When did the new roommate move in?
December 6th.
The new roommate's name is?
Lee.
How much was your rent each month?
$1,250.
And what is Lee's rent?
$1,250.
Did he pay December's rent?
Not in full.
In what amount did he not pay?
He paid minus 5 days of rent. I'm not sure the exact dollar amount.
Okay. Did you have all your property out by December 1st?
Minus a plasma TV and a desk.
So you did not have all your property out by December 1st?
Correct.
When was all of your property out?
I know for sure it was all out as of the 4th.
So you overstayed your stay by 4 days?
Yes.
Okay. You cannot profit, sir, from a situation that was handled totally appropriately. She did not damage the property. She gave you notice.
She absolutely did damage the property, Your Honor. I have proof that she damaged the property.
Oh, well, you didn't say that. Wait a second. Hold on a second. I want to see if you said that in your answer. Did you? Would you please show this to Mr. Rodriguez? That's his sworn answer. Would you please have him point out in his answer where he says that he's not returning her security deposit because she damaged the property?
I asked her to remove the trash, but she never did. I had to hire a repairman to clean out the trash, repair the walls, and change the locks.
Repair what walls, sir?
So the plasma television that she says that she moved out, or that I took down myself and put outside, left behind a number of large holes in the wall.
Show me your bill for fixing the holes in the wall.
This is the bill for fixing the holes in the wall.
Okay.
This is the estimate that it would have cost to remove all of those things and put them outside.
No. All I want is fixing the holes in the wall.
Your Honor, if I was...
Why did you change the locks?
Well, I didn't know Crystal before she moved in, and I...
Sir, you want to change the locks, change the locks. That's what you do as a landlord.
But, Your Honor, if I was in the business of being a landlord and...
Listen to me, sir. I want to see a picture of the wall, and I want to see a bill for spackling the hole in the wall. Period. Okay.
Your Honor, we had a one-year lease agreement.
You did not have a one-year lease, sir. One-year lease has to be in writing. Otherwise, it's a month-to-month. She gave you a month's notice. She gave you more than a month's notice.
Your Honor, we had a verbal lease agreement.
No, you have a lease agreement, sir, when it's in writing if it's for a year or more. Other than that, you have a month-to-month tenancy. And if you want something more than that, and if you want to lay out your rights and responsibilities, go get a form lease and sign it, and then you have a lease for a year or more. Do you understand? The only reason I am charging her the extra days is because she actually had property in your house. And if she actually has property, even if it's in the hall, that means she's still a tenant. So she didn't vacate December 1st. She actually kept property there for at least 4 days. I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt for the 5th day because that's when you moved the new roommate in. So I am deducting $200.
Your Honor, the lease that you say is month-to-month. If I was interested in a beach rental for month-to-month, I would have charged much more than $1,250 a month.
Do whatever you want to do. You want to lease your place for a year or more, get a written lease that outlines everybody's responsibility. Other than that, you have a month-to-month tenancy. Most jurisdictions that I know. Now, it may be different from where you are, but any contract that has a duration for a year or more is supposed to be in writing. And if you choose not to do that, you do so at your own peril, sir. And you cannot profit from it. You didn't lose any money. You rented the room and took an additional security deposit. You didn't lose a month's rent. Miss Anderson did absolutely the appropriate thing. She let you know in October that she was vacating in December, so she gave you more than 30 days to find a new roommate. You did, in fact, find a new tenant who paid you the exact same amount of money that she did, and I'm deleting from her request the amount that covers the 5 days that your tenant didn't pay for the month of December, giving you more than she's actually liable for because she's not liable for more than 30 days. But she kept stuff there, so she is, in fact, responsible for at least part of it. So you owe her $950. I am taking off $200 for the overstay because you lived there past December 1st, and I'm taking off $100 to plaster the wall. Okay. By the way, where did the new tenant put his TV?
He doesn't have a hanging television.
$950. Judgment for the plaintiff. Thank you. That's all.
Timothy Rodriguez claims ex-girlfriend Elizabeth Johnson owes for 2 accidents with his truck.
Mr. Rodriguez, Miss Johnson was your girlfriend for a period of time, and it is your claim that on 2 occasions she caused an accident which damaged your truck, and you want her to pay to have your truck repaired.
Yes.
Miss Johnson acknowledges that there were 2 accidents in the truck while she was driving. Her answer seems to indicate that you told her at the time it was no big deal and you would take care of fixing them. She has a counterclaim, and her counterclaim is that you have bad temper, that you damaged the apartment by putting holes in the wall with your fist, and that at one point you assaulted her. That's her counterclaim. Is that right?
Yes.
Who is this lady?
Oh, that's my daughter's mother.
Can you tell me why she's here?
She was a witness to a phone call that I spoke with Elizabeth about my payments to my truck for the damages. And she heard the conversation with her.
And how old is your daughter?
My daughter's 2.
Is that your only child?
I have 2 other children, too.
You thought about that for a second. How old are your other 2 children?
I got one that's 10 and one that's 8.
And who do they live with?
They live with their mother.
What do you do for a living, Mr. Rodriguez?
I'm a union carpenter.
How much do you earn a year?
Roughly about $40,000.
And your 8 and 10-year-old, they live with their mother?
Yes.
And what does their mother do for a living?
She's just a stay-at-home mom.
You must be very wealthy.
No.
Well, who supports your 8 and 10-year-old children?
I do.
How much do you send them?
I send the mother probably about $500-600 a month.
You send her about $500 or $600?
It all depends on how much money she needs throughout the month.
You have a court order, sir?
No.
Even if I believed, sir, that you sent her $500 a month, she's not supporting herself and 2 children on $500 a month. How does she support herself?
Her boyfriend.
She lives with a boyfriend?
Yes.
And he supports her?
Yes.
What does he do for a living?
I'm not even sure.
Don't you see your children?
Yes.
And you have no idea, well, how often do you see your children?
I see him like probably about 3 times a month.
Somehow, Mr. Rodriguez, I'm not getting the sense that I'm getting truthful answers from you, sir. But I'm going to find out. Now, this young lady who's here has a 2-year-old child.
Yes.
You under court order to pay her support?
Yes.
How much?
I pay her $83 a week, a total of $103 a week for arrears, $20 towards arrears of child support.
So there was a time when you weren't paying child support?
Yes, before I got into the union.
And how much do you owe her?
Right now, the remaining balance on it is $600 and some change.
And how does she support herself?
She has a full-time job.
Who takes care of the baby?
Daycare.
Pays for the daycare?
Her and I both share daycare.
How much do you pay towards the daycare?
$43 a week.
So far, is all that correct?
Yes.
$1,221 a month you pay out.
Yes.
Going to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you live with?
I live with my mom.
You pay rent?
Yes.
How much?
$300 a month.
You have a car?
Yes.
Pay insurance?
Yes.
How much?
That's $2,300 every 6 months.
$22,000, like $23,000. We're up to $23,000, right?
Yes.
You see where I'm going, sir? You eat?
Yes.
You have credit cards?
No.
Pay for everything in cash?
Yes.
You have a truck payment?
Yes. $387 a month.
$400 a month.
Yes.
So now we're up to about $30,000 a year.
I also work a second job, full-time.
Oh, the courts know about that?
Yes.
Betcha. They don't. How much do you earn at, but they will now. How much do you earn at the second job?
To be honest with you, I'm not quite sure. I'm up to $7 an hour on that job. Sometimes I work 30 hours a week, 40 hours a week.
The reason I'm asking you all of these questions, Mr. Rodriguez, is I was really interested in Miss Johnson's answer. While she acknowledged that she was in these minor accidents with your car, there was a little damage, she says that her mother, I assume this is her mother,
Yes.
was nice enough to loan you $6,000 to pay back child support.
Your Honor, that wasn't all for child support.
What was it for?
Well, it was $1,900 of it went to child support.
So $2,000, according to you, went for
Yes.
child support, and the
Yes.
other $4,000?
The other $4,000, I paid some bills that I had that were passed out, and then it was like $2,000 of it that me and Elizabeth went out and spent.
You borrowed $6,000 from her and you signed a note?
Yes.
Have you paid it back?
I have.
Is not an answer.
No.
When did you borrow the money?
May 6th.
I believe it was like July 24th
May 6th.
or May 6th. May have been May 6th.
May, July, they sound alike. Why haven't you paid it back?
Elizabeth got a restraining order against me, and the judge told me not to make any contact with them whatsoever.
Are you mad? I mean, is that the reason you're giving me? You have to understand, Mr. Rodriguez, I can tell phonies from at least 10 feet away. The fact that she's got a restraining order against you doesn't mean you can't send a Federal Express to her mother with a payment.
I asked the judge that. He said no contact whatsoever if she wanted her
Are
money
you
from
kidding me? You mean that but for that, the money would have been in her hands already?
Yes. I went to court the day of the restraining order, and I had to check for her.
Good. Perfect. Do you have it with you?
No, not today.
What do you know? I would have taken it for her. You got a spare check in your wallet?
No,
Take a look.
I didn't bring any checkbooks or nothing today.
See why I don't trust you, Mr. Rodriguez? Because you tell such good stories. You may tell them over and over again. And you actually believe that you can come here and tell me a story.
Your Honor, it's not a story.
Which irritates me.
It's not a story.
Which irritates me. Well, Mr. Rodriguez, you knew you were coming to a neutral setting today. You knew that you owed this lady the money. Nothing would have prevented you from saying, Judge, while I'm here, because I'm asking you as a court of equity to take care of this problem that I have, I want to take care of my debts, and I owe her $6,000. So I would really like to be able to give you the check for her, because I have the money. I'd like to give you the check so that you can give it to her and I won't be violating any restraining order. You got it.
Yes.
Now, Ms. Johnson, I want you to tell me about the first accident you had with Mr. Rodriguez's car.
I was picking him up from work. It was a little wet out,
and the tractor trailer was coming into my lane, so I hit the brakes and I hit the guardrail instead of him hitting me, so that's what happened.
And how much damage was done to the car?
I have pictures.
I'd like to see it. And what was the date of that incident?
I'm not exactly sure. It's sometime in June. This is the side of the damage.
And I'd
this
like
is
you to
the
keep
other
your
side.
voice up because, you know, my hearing isn't what it used to be when I was 12. Oh, well, you did a damage to the light and to the bumper. What year truck is this, Mr. Rodriguez?
A 98.
Did you cover this on your insurance?
No.
Why not?
I didn't call it into the insurance company because I felt as though, why should my insurance go on the truck?
Okay. Did she say she would fix it?
Yes, she did.
How much is the estimate that you got to fix it?
$23,1509.
And tell me about the second accident,
The
Ms.
second
Johnson.
accident, we were driving to a second job, and he was arguing with me, and I was stopped at a red light, and the light turned green, and he was still arguing with me, and I looked over at him, and I thought the cars were going, so I started to go, and then I tapped somebody in the back because he had stopped.
You have a picture of the damage?
I don't have a picture
Your
of that.
Honor, I have
There's a
pictures.
little dent in the middle of the...
I'd like to see it.
There are pictures of the car that she hit and my truck also.
Well, that's the same bumper that's going to have to be repaired. When they take the bumper off and they fix it from the first accident, they're going to fix the second one.
Well, the first one where she hit, it was only the side fender and the light and a
No,
couple
no,
of
no, no,
scratches
no, no,
on
no,
the
it
side of
wasn't.
the bumper.
No, it wasn't. It was down here. And here.
Yes.
And this one is right in the middle, right here. Is that right?
Yeah. and-
Well, then they take it off. They'll fix them both. Now, that's your case. What makes you think he forgave this debt?
He told me when he was trying to get back with me after I broke up with him, he said, don't worry about it, I'll pay for it. That's what he said.
No.
Your Honor, that's not true.
Now, is that your complaint against
Also,
us?
I have an estimate from the car rental because I'm going to need to rent a car for a week.
Take the bus. Maybe she'll loan you her car. Now, you want to tell me about your counterclaim?
He damaged my holes in the wall. I mean, the holes in the wall.
You have pictures of that?
Yes. The bruise on
When
my
did
arm.
that happen?
The 22nd of July.
Tell me what happened.
I asked some girl called his phone, and he said, how did you get my number? And he hung up on her, so I called her back. She told me that they had conversations, and he kept saying, no, I didn't talk to her, I didn't talk to her, and he swore up and down all three of his kids that
Just
he
a
didn't
sec.
talk to her.
I didn't follow this from the beginning. You have to go through this slowly for me. You know, I'm not really up on this intrigue. You found somebody's number on his phone?
She had called his cell phone. He picked up the phone and he said, how did you get my number? And then he hung up on her. He got out of the truck to unload a car because we were at his job. And so I called her back. And we were talking.
What'd you do that for?
Just to ask her a
Curious.
question. Yeah. I mean, I didn't have any arguments with the girl on the phone, nothing. So I called her back and she told me that they had conversations and then we hung up. When he got back in the truck, I asked him if he had talked to her. And he said, no, I didn't talk to her. And he swore up and down on all his kids that he didn't talk to her. You know, for about 3 hours he kept saying, no, I didn't talk to her. So he told me, go ahead, check on the Sprint bill. So I went and checked on the Sprint bill. 33 minutes of conversation with the girl's number, and he didn't call her.
Your Honor, that's not true.
Yes, it is.
I never denied talking to her.
Yes, you did.
So you had a fight?
It was about 4 o'clock in the morning, and, you know, we were fighting, and he said, I'm tired. I said, well, I'm tired, too. If you didn't lie to me, we wouldn't be going through this. He got so pissed off of me, he picked up the candle off my TV with the glass dish, threw it at me, and hit the wall.
That's not true, Your Honor.
Yes, it is.
How did the holes get in the wall, sir?
I seriously don't know. I did repairs on the mother's house for the bedroom, the bathroom, and the outside siding. Why would
That
I
has
damage a
nothing
house
to
that I
do with
just
the holes
fixed?
in the wall.
Just asked you how the holes got in the wall.
I have no clue.
Okay. Did you have the walls fixed?
Yeah, I have an estimate for that, to get them fixed.
Was this in your apartment?
This is in my mother's house, in my bedroom.
Was he staying with you?
Yes. For the 4 months that we were going out, he lived at my house.
Why?
Because
I felt bad for
she
him.
asked me to move in with her.
I did not.
After the first time that we went out, she asked me to move in with her.
Mr. Rodriguez, we've only just met, you and I.
Yes.
I can tell you're instantaneously attracted to me. If I said to you, I want you to move in with me, would you do that?
No, I wouldn't.
That would be very smart, Mr. Rodriguez. I mean, it's so stupid what you said. I mean, do you think you're a stupid man?
No.
You just met her and she asked you to move in with us, so you moved in with her?
Yes.
You have a bridge?
For sale?
Yeah.
I can find one.
You can find one. Okay. According to what I read in your answer, there was something in your answer, Miss Johnson, that suggested to me that you were aware of the fact that Mr. Rodriguez had a bad temper. Is that right, madam?
Yes.
You did. And how did you know that Mr. Rodriguez had a bad temper?
With her. He told me stories. They've been in and out of court for 5 years. She tried to get a restraining order.
Some of it for domestic violence? Is that right?
Yes.
And despite all that, you invited Mr. Wonderful into your house.
Yes.
And your mother, who I don't even want to talk to, was dumb enough to give him money.
Yes.
You must live off a substantial inheritance.
No.
Where did you get the money from that you loaned to him?
I borrowed it off my credit card for him, so he would not go to jail for back child support, which was about $4,000.
Who did you owe back child support to? This lady or the mother of the other two children?
This lady.
Stand up. Over there. Did you pursue that matter in court of the back child support? Did you pursue it or did the state pursue it?
I didn't pursue it. They had already, when I had our daughter, I had to call and enter a child support order. We had
Why?
Gone, because we weren't together at the time.
Who was supporting you?
I was living home with my parents, and I had a job.
You never received any government assistance?
No.
So somebody had to report him for not paying child support. That would have had to have been you.
Oh, okay, yes.
That's all. Sit down. Now I got it. Now you say that during this altercation with the candlesticks, he also assaulted you.
Not that time.
When did he assault you?
I had kicked him out on July 25th. We had a week of nasty phone calls because I wanted my stepfather's tools back that he wouldn't return. And then 2 weeks after that, I was at a funeral, and he called me, he texted me, he said, "I'm sorry about your grandfather," and then I talked to him again. 2 weeks he was begging me to come back to him, "Please take me back, I'm sorry," and that's when.
Well, so then you said okay.
I said okay, and about 2 days later, I spent the night at his friend's house with him, and the next day is when I had to get a restraining order against him.
Well, tell me what happened at the friend's house. Well, you didn't learn your lesson yet, Miss Johnson.
Well, we got into an argument, and I wanted to go home, so he...
About what?
About anything and everything.
Your Honor, about one of my roommates that was walking around in a sports bra. That's
One of your...
A roommate
Yeah.
on where I'm staying at now. She was walking around with a sports bra, doing her dishes, and her boyfriend was there with her, and she freaked out on me about her doing that. And I said to her, there was nothing I could do about her walking around with a sports bra on. It's her house, too. I can't say nothing to her.
No.
And this was all the day before I was supposed to go and have surgery that following Monday.
Surgery on?
I had some medical problems.
So we had an argument. Yes, she was walking in a sports bra.
I don't care if she was walking in a sports bar or if she was walking around with a G-string. It makes no difference to me. I want you to tell me how it came about that you say he put his hands on you.
I'm getting there. So I asked him to take me home, so he took me home, and then on the way home, he, was buttering me up, so I agreed to go back. And about 3 hours later, we got into another argument because he was getting jealous because one of my friends was texting me. So then, I said, I want to go home, and he put his hands on me, and he grabbed me and said, no, stay. And I said, no, I want to go home. And I had my bag, I had everything in my hand. He just kept grabbing me, broke my cell phone, he threw it down the stairs. He swung his hands after he threw my cell phone down the stairs and hit me in the eye right here. He threw me onto the couch, onto the floor.
Have a police report?
I do, Your
I have
Honor.
the restraining order. The restraining order. The temporary
No,
restraining order.
I don't want to see the restraining
You want the
order. I want
restraining
to see a
orders
police
too? I got
report.
copies of them too.
Of what?
I got copies of the restraining orders too if you want to see them.
Then I'll ask for it. So you had marks on your face, and so did he, because you hit him and he hit you. Is
I
that
slapped
right?
him in the face after he threw me on the couch and onto the floor.
It says that you hit him twice.
No, I hit him.
It was more than twice, Your Honor.
Yeah, but according to the police report, you hit him twice.
After he threw my phone down the steps, I hit him on his back, and then he continued to grab me.
I assume you're not going to have anything to do with him anymore, is that right? I'm dismissing your counterclaim. Deal with it. You better smarten up, Miss Johnson. You don't look like a stupid girl, but you've done a lot of stupid things. Now, as far as your complaint is concerned, Mr. Rodriguez, I believe that she owes you for the damage that she acknowledges that she did to the truck. Your estimate was for $23.
I have an agreement, too.
It was for 23-15-09.
$23.15.
Yes, 09.
We are holding that judgment in abeyance, which means that you will not be getting paid on that judgment. You will get paid on that judgment when this court receives a canceled check, canceled by her, for the amount you owe her. Do you understand?
The full amount?
Do you understand?
$5,300.
Your Honor?
$5,300.
$5,300. When this court receives, sir, proof by way of a canceled check that you have paid the $5,300 remaining on your debt?
Even though we had an agreement signed.
$5,300, sir. When we receive proof that you have paid her, money that you acknowledge that you owe her, is that right?
Yes.
You'll get your check. Do you understand?
Yes.
Goodbye and good luck.
Jonathan Pasquinelli says former live-in girlfriend Laura Weathers owes for rent and bills while he was deployed in Iraq.
Bert, would you get the defendant a sweater, please, or have her go outside and get herself a sweater?
Okay.
She looks cold to me. We'll be with you in a moment, sir. Oh, that's much better. Much, much better. Mr. Pasquinelli, according to your complaint, you and Miss Weathers lived together for a period of time. You rented an apartment together, you were splitting the bills. And then you were deployed to the Gulf.
Yes.
And it was your arrangement with the defendant that she was going to stay in the apartment, that you would continue to pay half the rent, and she would pay half the rent, and she would pay all the utilities since she was living in the apartment.
Yes.
You returned from the Gulf and found that she had not paid the rent, that the utilities were never paid, and according to you, she owes you a bundle of money.
Yes.
The defendant says that she only lived in the apartment for 5 months after you left, and you agreed to cover her rent because she was a little short, and in addition, she never received the utility bills. They went directly to your parents' house. That's your defense?
Correct.
All right. When did you move into the apartment together, Miss Withers?
November.
What was your financial agreement?
That we would split the rent and the utilities while he was
How much
away.
was your share of the rent?
$675.
Is that correct, sir?
No, it was actually $575.
And how long did you pay the $575?
Up through January, February.
Through January. When were you deployed to the Gulf, sir?
January 17.
Now, what about the utilities? Did you pay half of the utilities up until he went away?
I did.
Is that correct, sir?
Yes, she did.
Now, how did your agreement change, Miss Weathers, when he left for the Gulf and he was no longer living there?
I actually ended up getting a DUI because my truck broke. I had a tire. It was a brand new truck, and he had said that while I was paying my $3,000 lawyer and all my fines and my truck, that I wouldn't have to pay and that we would do it. I would get it back
just
to
look
you
at me.
eventually.
And what?
That it was until I was able to. I could just pay what I could.
Was there a full sentence there someplace that I didn't hear?
I don't know how to break it down exactly.
Try speaking in a full sentence, you know, with a beginning and a middle and an end and a start and a finish.
I would just pay what I could when I could.
There you go. That wasn't hard, was it?
It was fine.
So how much did you pay?
$300.
When did you deposit $300?
February.
Show me.
I know he has his bank statement he can prove. I even called his mother to get his bank information.
Well, if you called his mother to get his bank information, that means that what you were doing is you were paying the entire rent out of his bank account. Is that right?
Oh, before he left, he gave them checks in full.
Really?
Yes, Your Honor.
How was she supposed to pay her half?
I left her deposit slips from my bank account to deposit it directly into my checking account.
So it was all taken out of your bank, and
Yes.
she never deposited any money. She says in February she deposited $300. I'm just curious. Do you have any indication of that?
I don't, but I will deposit that money.
So your agreement now, according to you, now that we got a full sentence, Ms. Withers, was that when you could, you would pay him back.
That's correct.
After the $300, when did you start paying him back?
I didn't.
Why?
Because we were talking, and it was just pretty much that whenever I could pay it, I would, and at the time, I couldn't. So eventually, you know, we would just come out in the end. I have an email.
There's a sentence there.
It's coming.
There's a sentence there. I know it's coming.
It's coming. I have an email. There's the sentence from him.
I have an email. That's perfect. 4 words. Sounds just about right.
So, just basically him saying that he knows that I can't pay it, and eventually we will get through it.
Well, that's pretty much what you said. I don't know what was awesome. Something was awesome before we got to the rent.
Oh, we did thousands of emails, so the headlines were a little wacky.
Oh, I see. And he does indicate here, I know you are trying and doing what you can, and I know you'll get me when you can. So what are you doing now, Miss Withers?
Now I don't understand.
What are you doing now?
In regard to paying him back?
In regard to your life, what are you doing?
I'm an accountant.
An accountant, that's a good thing. So you deal in numbers.
Correct.
And who do you work for?
I was working for Quintera. Right now I'm in between.
How are you supporting yourself again?
Well, unemployment.
Who is this?
This is Anthony.
Anthony. I assume Anthony has a last name?
Palazzo.
And what does Anthony do?
He's also an accountant. He's my boyfriend.
Do you live together?
Correct.
So now you're paying the bills?
Yes.
Not like that at all. This is...
Just a second. Good for you.
That's not the case. Don't make it look like that, because that's not the case.
Looks like the case to me. Looks like he went overseas. I'm sure it wasn't easy over there, and he's expecting you to do the right thing. Instead of doing the right thing, you got yourself drunk. You had an accident with your car. Correct. It's not his fault that you had to pay $3,000 in lawyers and fines and everything else that you had to pay because of your own irresponsible behavior while he was away. And so my question is, when do you expect to start paying him back? He expected you to pay him back.
Actually, before he did this, I had set it up where I would be paying him $300 a month. And he was okay with it. And the next thing I know, I'm getting this in the mail. Right after we had had a phone conversation, I had given him $100 just for that week because he had come back.
What did she say when she gave you the $100?
She didn't deliver it to me. Her boyfriend did.
And what did he say?
He didn't really say much.
Stand up. Anthony.
Yes.
What did you say when you delivered the $100?
I was just the carrier. I was just dropping it off, gave him $100.
Good. So you had a conversation with Miss Withers. Is that right?
Correct.
And what did Miss Withers tell you about the $100?
She said that she owed him $100, drop it off after work. And on my way home from work, I just dropped it off, didn't have any conversation.
Anthony.
Yes.
If my girlfriend with whom I was living, or my boyfriend with whom I was living, said to me, here, take $100 to my ex-boyfriend, I owe it to him, I would ask, what for? Unless you're a drone and just do things as you're told.
No, I knew she owed him money.
Okay. Now,
But
what did
she
you...
couldn't
Stop
afford it, though.
speaking.
Okay.
You knew she owed him money.
Yes.
Is that because she told you she owed him money?
Yes.
She owed him.
She did not tell me exact amount.
What did she tell him she owed the money for?
She didn't tell me either. I just
And
knew.
you didn't ask?
I didn't ask.
You are some inquisitive guy.
Thanks. Thanks.
You're only interested in the important things, right?
That's correct.
Oh, that's right. I'm not going there. Anthony, what do you do for a living, sir? You're an accountant?
I'm actually a financial advisor.
So you're not a dummy, right?
No, I'm not.
If my girlfriend said to me, I owe my ex-boyfriend money, you would say, what do you owe money for, honey? How much do you owe him? Did you have a payment schedule? What are you going to do? Those are the questions that a normal person would ask. Now, you, Anthony, look like a relatively normal person. Yeah. So don't play games with me, sir. Do we understand each other?
We do.
You don't want me to embarrass you, do you?
No.
Any more than I've done already? I'm capable of it, you know.
Okay.
Now, when did you have a discussion with her about how much and what she owed him the money for?
We really never discussed how much she owed. I just knew that she owed him money, and that was it. I didn't really want to know how much. I didn't want to get involved because I didn't want to get in the middle between money because I know how people act around money, so.
You didn't want to be responsible.
Correct.
Now, Anthony.
Yes.
That's smart.
Thank you.
Because if you say, how much do you owe, and she tells you, the temptation might be there to say, let me give it to you because I don't want you to have any connection with him anymore.
Correct.
So you didn't do that.
I didn't want to know. And
why didn't you want to know, Anthony?
Because I didn't want to know how much it was. It could have been a lot, it could have been a little. I didn't want to know.
Well, you said I didn't want to know 3 times, and so I'm asking you, why didn't you want to know? Weren't you curious?
No.
Weren't you a little curious?
I was not. Not at all.
When were you deployed, sir? In January?
January 17th.
When did you get home?
July 31st.
So she was there ostensibly for 5 months. Is that right?
I don't know when she left.
I don't care when she left. She was there for 5 months.
Fine.
But she owes you money for it. And she owes you $2,875. Now, tell me about the utility bills.
When I got home, I had a $617 gas and electric bill.
Can I see it, please? What were you doing there?
I wasn't even there.
You're making wine? What were you doing?
I have no idea. I
Actually,
wasn't.
this is gas and electric also. And these are unopened. Just, I didn't know if...
Can I see the unopened ones,
Yes.
please?
This is actually cable, which I'm not allowed to have cable in San Diego anymore because the bills
Okay.
haven't paid.
You live at 9215.
Yes, I do.
Okay, and these were sent to 9215? Well, she paid you $300, so I'm deducting that from the $28.75, leaving $25.75. And here is a bill. Ooh, past due, date mailed, May 3rd. You would still be there, right?
No, I moved out in the beginning, of May. I wasn't there.
Well, this is mailed on May 3rd, so you owe $574.20. Cable.
I tried disconnecting that because, number one, I'm not home. Number two, we have no computer, which we needed internet for. And because my name wasn't on it, I couldn't disconnect it.
Why didn't you email him?
Name's on the bill.
Shh. Why didn't you email him and tell him?
No, that's the time.
Listen to me. Why didn't you email him and tell him to cancel
I did.
it?
I had emailed
Show me.
him.
Show me.
I don't have that email.
Anthony,
Yes.
where were you working in May?
In May, I was working at Quintera.
And where was she working?
Quintera. That's how I met him.
So that's how you met, in May. When did she move in with you, Anthony?
I would say
In July.
Jump! Didn't ask you. I
June.
asked him.
Beginning of June.
So from May, whatever, when you moved out until you moved in with Anthony here, where were you living?
I was just staying at friends as I was going back and forth because it was closer to my house.
What house?
Or not my house, but to my work. It was just easier because I lived pretty far from work.
Ever been married, Anthony?
No.
Don't do this one.
You getting the drift?
I do, I do.
You do get, I know that you get it, Anthony. I'm looking at your eyes.
She went wine tasting and forgot to pay the bill in February.
I didn't go wine
Listen.
tasting.
You told
Sir, shh, listen to me. Very
there was a $69 late payment on that bill.
$3,688.
Sounds good to me.
Very good. And say, who is this young lady?
This is my sister.
Very nice young lady, very nice. Thank you. Say, thank you. I got home safely, right?
Yes.
I didn't make any big mistakes over there, and I didn't make any big mistakes over here. Got it?
Got it.
That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. 26-year-old Lauren Wilson is suing former roommate Natasha Safai for destroying her clothes and other belongings. She is also seeking the return of 1 month's rent.
Miss Wilson, the defendant was a friend of yours, and there came a time, sometime last year, that she invited you to come down to Florida to live with her. For whatever reason, you decided to take her up on that offer and move to Florida from where?
Salisbury, Maryland.
The understanding, according to you, was that the first month she would forgive the rent,
Right.
and then you would be able to get a job, start paying your share of the expenses. According to you, you got down to Florida in November.
It was the first week in November, yes.
And according to you, at some point in November, you gave her a check for $175.
No, it was cash.
Cash. For $175 for next month's expenses.
In anticipation of December's rent, yes.
When did you give that to her?
I think it was about the 11th or the 12th of November.
Is that correct, Ms. Safari?
Yes.
Good. So mid-month, you gave her rent towards December.
Right.
And then you had a falling out. When was the falling out?
It was pretty much steadily. We were just bickering all the time.
What was the date she told you to leave?
It was the 16th of November.
And at that time, she told you that you had 24 hours to get your stuff out.
Right.
Is that right?
Yes.
And you claimed that when you finally were able to get all of your stuff, some had been destroyed.
Yes,
with
a
bleach.
lot of it is
Had been destroyed, and some electrical items that you brought had been placed outside on the front porch, and by the time you got to get them, they were gone.
Right.
Ms. Safai, says that she did not destroy your property, and she put out the property because you did not come within 24 hours to get your property, and she wasn't keeping it in the house, aside from the fact that she thought you were staying home all day fooling around with her boyfriend.
Right.
Which is why you told her to leave.
Yes, it is.
Right?
Yes.
What made you think she was fooling around with your boyfriend, Miss Sapphire?
Because a roommate that I had staying there that was getting ready to move out was also home during the day, and she was informing me that Lauren and my ex-boyfriend were spending a lot of time together during the day in the room. They were also making phone calls back and forth to each other.
So did you confront your boyfriend?
Yes, I did.
What did he say?
He said that it wasn't true. But I trust the girl that, had been my roommate.
So how long did you keep the boyfriend after you had her leave?
A few months. We're no longer together.
Why didn't you kick him out?
He wasn't living with me.
Kick him out of your life is my question. Why kick her out? Why not kick him out?
I did eventually, just not at the same time.
Why? Because a good man nowadays is hard to find? What is it? Well, let me tell you this, Miss Sapphire. You cannot give her 24 hours to get out of your house. She gave you $175, which according to both of you went towards rent. She then becomes a tenant, whether she's on the lease or not. She's your tenant. And unless there is some action that is dangerous to your health and welfare that she's doing in the house, like selling drugs out of your house, inviting people over there that are destroying your property, you don't have the prerogative to say to her, under the law, you have to get out immediately. So that's one thing. So A, you have to return to her the $175. B, you put her stuff out on the porch. What did you put out on the porch?
I put her clothes and all the rest of her stereo system, all the stuff that she had brought, I put outside.
You can't do that.
Well, I didn't destroy her stuff like that. I have my witness that was with me when I put the stuff outside, and it did not look like that when I put it outside.
Well, then you didn't take good enough care of it, madam, because then somebody else did it, but it's your fault. You can't put her stuff outside and place her stuff in a position of either being stolen or destroyed or vandalized by other people. You can't do that. So I don't care what your witness says. Once you put that stuff out, having no right to put that stuff out because she's a tenant in your apartment, you are responsible for anything that happens to it. That's it. It's not a hard case. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $383. That's all.
$383?
Judge Judy suing National Enquirer owner over Menendez Brothers article. Judge Judy Scheinlin is suing Accelerate 360, the parent company of the National Enquirer and In Touch Weekly, for defamation regarding an article she said falsely claimed she sought a new trial for the Menendez brothers. Scheinlin is seeking a jury trial and unspecified general and special damages, according to the 60-page suit filed by California attorney Eric M. George on Monday in the Collier County, Florida Circuit Court. When you fabricate stories about me in order to make money for yourselves with no regard for the truth or the reputation I've spent a lifetime cultivating, it's going to cost you, Judge Judy told Deadline on Monday morning. When you've done it multiple times, it's unconscionable and will be expensive. It has to be expensive so that you will stop. The article published by Accelerate 360 on April 10 titled Inside Judge Judy's Quest to Save the Menendez Brothers nearly 35 years after their parents' murder claims Scheinlin believed Lyle and Eric Menendez did not receive fair due process during their second murder trial in 1996, the complaint obtained by USA Today says. The National Enquirer also ran the story on the front page of its print and digital editions, according to the suit. How are the Menendez brothers, Judge Judy, connected? Eric Menendez and his brother Lyle Menendez were convicted in 1996 of fatally shooting their rich parents in a Beverly Hills mansion. The brothers shot their father, Josette, a wealthy entertainment executive, and their mother, Kitty, a socialite, at point-blank range with a shotgun in 1989. The pair were arrested months later after one of the brothers allegedly confessed to a psychologist and the other threatened to kill the doctor. The Menendez brothers' case became must-see TV as their initial trial ended in a mistrial and their second led to the conviction. The brothers were sentenced to life in prison after prosecutors proved that the two committed the murders to gain access to their parents' fortune. The article published by the National Enquirer and In Touch Weekly included comments from a Felix Nation docuseries made by Judy Ramos, which the show identified as a woman who was an alternate juror in the initial Menendez trial, according to the suit. Scheinlin claims the outlets misattributed Ramos' comments to her. The complaint continued. It entirely misquoted its source material, which identified the speaker of the challenged statements by name, an individual identified on-screen in the docuseries as Judy Zamos, and as an alternate juror first trial, according to the suit. Judge Scheinlin has never gone by the name Judy Zamos, nor was she an alternate juror in the Menendez trial. National Enquirer's In Touch Weekly's article is tarnishing Judge Judy's reputation. The article can no longer be found on the National Enquirer's and In Touch Weekly's websites because the outlets removed the story on April 10, the complaint reported. However, it still appears in the internet search engine results and the Newsbreak account run by Accelerate 360, according to the suit. By tarnishing Scheinlin's reputation as a fair-minded and good judge of character and facts, Accelerate 360's lies have injured Scheinlin by deterring viewers from watching her shows, the suit says. These lies have injured and, as they continue to circulate, continue to and will injure Scheinlin by discouraging parties from bringing their disputes before her. National Enquirer published that Judy had Alzheimer's disease. Scheinlin, who hosted the syndicated Judge Judy through 2021 and now hosts Judy Justice, had past issues with the National Enquirer. The news outlet retracted articles and apologized in 2017 after they falsely claimed Scheinlin cheated on her husband and suffered from Alzheimer's disease and depression, the complaint says.